Tuhod, balik at ulo, itakwetan, baywang at susus. Huwag mong titigan ang hindi sa'yo at maging disenteng tao.
Pare, ang catcalling ay isang uri ng sexual harassment. Di biro ang sexual harassment at di nakakamacho ang pang-aabuso. Isang paalala mula sa Philippine Commission on Women.
Game, 1, 2, and...
Tuhod, balik at ulo, itakwetan, baywang at susus. Huwag mong titigan ang hindi sa'yo at maging disenteng tao.
Pare, ang catcalling ay isang uri ng sexual harassment. Di biro ang sexual harassment at di nakakamacho ang pang-aabuso. Isang paalala mula sa Philippine Commission on Women.
Game, 1, 2, and...
Tuhod, balik at ulo, itakwetan, baywang at susus. Huwag mong titigan ang hindi sa'yo at maging disenteng tao.
Pare, ang catcalling ay isang uri ng sexual harassment. Di biro ang sexual harassment at di nakakamacho ang pang-aabuso. Isang paalala mula sa Philippine Commission on Women.
Hello, good morning, Sir Jaime. Jaime Umandam. Sir Jaime. Ron, ibalik to imong music, Ron.
Babae, bumangon ka. Palayain ang sarili, madilim na lumipas. Harapin mo ang bukas ng may mababakas. Babae, bumangon ka. May buwang ka sa mundo upang tuluyang magbago. Di ka nag-iisa. Tayo ay sama-sama. Pagkasan ng karahasan sa kapamanihan, matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Gabay mo ang mata sa pagsubil ng lahat. Bumangon ka, labanan ng karahasan. Babae, bumangon ka. Halaga sa lipunan, hindi mapapantayan. Bigyang kabuluhan, pagtahak sa tamang daan. Wakasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan, matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Labay mo ang mata sa pagsubil ng dahas. Bumangon ka, labanan ng karahasan. Babae, bumangon ka. Palayain ang sarili, madilim na lumipas. Harapin mo ang bukas nang may mababakas. Babae, bumangon ka. May buwang ka sa mundo upang tuluyang magbago. Di ka nag-iisa, tayo ay sama-sama. Wakasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan, matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Gabay mo ang mata sa pagsubil ng dahas. Bumangon ka,
Ron, you could now give the instructions for the registration. Okay ng MIS, Ron. Thank you.
babae, bumangon ka. Halaga sa lipunan, hindi mapapantayan. Bigyang kabuluhan, pagtahak sa tamang daan. Wakasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan, matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Labay mo ang mata sa pagsubil ng dahas. Bumangon ka, labanan ng
Sulig, best morning, everyone. Please try to follow the registration link provided by Ron in our dashboard. Please log into http://bcdmis.disleague.org/home, and please register yourself. Just click on the register. Add me as participant because right now only 4 are in this list. Siguro we'll just follow that instructional video there that is given by Ron. Thank you. Ron and Faith, please stand by. We will start at exactly 8:30. It's 3 minutes from now. Time check, it's 8:27.
Babae, bumangon ka. Halaga sa lipunan, hindi mapapantayan. Bigyang kabuluhan, pagtahak sa tamang daan. Wakasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan, matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Labay mo ang mata sa pagsubil ng dahas. Bumangon ka, labanan na. Bumangon ka, palayay ng sarili, madilim na lumipas, harapin mo ang bukas nang may mababakas. Babae, bumangon ka, magbuwang ka sa mundo upang tuluyang magbago, di ka nag-iisa. Tayo ay sama-sama. Wakasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan, matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Gabay mo ang mata sa pagsubil ng lahat. Bumangon ka, labanan na. Bumangon ka, halaga sa lipunan.
Sulik best morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this virtual training on the basic GAD concepts towards a gender-responsive workplace for SDO personnel. Thank you so much for being with us today. I am Faith, your host, and to begin, let us acknowledge the Lord's goodness and guidance through a prayer. This will then be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with one another in this seminar. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speaker so that he or she would be able to impart effectively his God-given knowledge to all of us. May he be blessed as he continues to bring his expertise to people who need them. Bless the participants as well, so that they would be able to glean the vital information from this activity. May you bestow your blessings after this seminar, so that we may go out and spread what we learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. Amen.
Ng mga kababaihang Pilipino para sa bayan. Tumayo po tayong lahat at sabay-sabay nating awitin ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Ayaw magiging, pero sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa bibig mo'y buhay. Lupang
Mga kababayan, ito ang alay ng mga kababaihang Pilipino para sa bayan. Tumayo po tayong lahat at sabay-sabay nating awitin ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
ayaw magiging, pero sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa bibig mo'y buhay. Lupang hiran, tulad ka ng pag-ibig, sa pagtulong, ikaw nasisigil, sa pagkakulong, sa silangan, sa dami mong babang, ang ginagang tula at awit sa paglayan nila mahal. Ang isang ng pagkawat mo'y kalupay na naghihingi, ang higilig ng araw ng kailang paglating. Di ba ng araw ng buwan at ating pagsima, tuloy natin sa piling mo. Ang hikaya na
So once again, a sulig best morning to all, and my salutations to everyone who is currently here with us during this training on the basic GAD concepts towards a gender-responsive workplace. To formally welcome us to this event, please help me in giving a virtual round of applause to our proactive and exceptional Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Jasmine R. Lacuna.
Hi, thank you for, shall I say, generous introduction, Miss Faith. No? from an equally ano ba, when I say faith, I see peace and calmness. No, that's how I see faith. No, whenever I am in an emotional turmoil, I'd like to look at faith. No, so that is how I see faith. Sulig, best morning, everyone, especially to our schools division superintendent, and advance happy birthday, Ma'am Goy. No, to our members of the GAD focal point system in the division, Sulig, best morning. I guess this is one of the very first engagements, no, that we are having in terms of gender and development. Could I have my presentations, Ron? Pwede ka ba mag-stop or pwede na mag-override na lang ako? Okay, sandali lang. Okay, is this being disabled or what? This has something to do with internet. Okay, parang hindi ko siya. You're not allowed, tama. Okay, so I'm already allowed. Thank you, Ron. Okay, so pwede talaga siyang i-disable, no? Okay, so pardon me for being digital migrant still, no? But I'm trying my very best to be closer to the digital natives. Okay, I am a very visual learner, so that is why I prefer to have my notes whenever I talk, no, and if ever the time would permit. No? Okay, so my first slide would be I have taken this from a document, no, from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. No? But I guess this is also applicable, no, in whatever agencies. Okay, so these are the stereotypes, no, before the formulation of the gender and development concepts, programs, projects, and activities. And I guess this is still happening, no, even after the GAD, no? Okay, the gender and development. Okay, so we see girls, no, to be somebody who is supposed to have clean jobs, such as becoming secretaries. Okay, ayan, may teachers, no? So I guess that's an old, that's a joke, no, in among the DepEd personnel na ang dami-dami na daw hindi tunay na lalaki in the Department of Education. But you know what? If one thing that I learned from one of our professors in the Superintendent's Leadership Program, no, if you are familiar with or you have been an audience to trainings of Professor Cecil Manikan, okay, when she said, I learned from her na for every one of us, so we have an anima and an animus. So it's just that, I mean, for a girl or for women, no, like me or like most of us here, I guess outnumbered pa rin yung mga yung males, no, or yung mga boys dito kahit dito sa ating GAD focal point system. For every one of us, there's always that anima and the animus. Okay, so kapag anima, of course, refers to the personality, no, attributed to the women, and animus refers to the obvious and the not so obvious, or the explicit and the implicit personalities behind the boys, no, or our male counterparts. Okay, so kapag you are a member of the say, example, you are a gay, pero kahit nga yung gay ngayon, no, hindi na lang talaga para sa mga lalaki or sa male counterparts. I know Ronnie would be able to elucidate more on this, no, later on his topic. Okay, but for boys, no, for example, if they prefer to be more effeminate, no, I do not know how to say this, okay, or is it okay to say that word, okay, mas pronounce daw yung kanilang anima, no? Yung mga babae din that they tend to become when they tend to become lesbian, mas pronounce daw yung kanilang pagiging or yung personality ng isang animus. Okay, so that's one thing that I learned and I could not forget, no? I'm sorry if I could not really explain it well, but I guess Ronnie and our registered guidance counselor and our psychologist here, Miss Faith, would be able to also somehow expound, no, on this matter. Okay, so we see the boys to be always men, no, who work in science, engineering, and other technical fields. No? Even the young mothers, no? O makiyang na rin ako, no? The young mothers that we are, if we have kids, no, who are still not into into college or tertiary education, minsan nagiging stereotype tayo when we tell the girls, oh, kasi girl ka. Of course, we do not tell it explicitly, no? We do not say na kasi babae ka, you should be a teacher, no? Pero parang automatic na siya, no? Automatic ang dating na Ate Nishka, you should be a nurse. Jaden, baby Jaden, I call him baby Jaden, no? Although he's going to be 8 years old. Baby Jaden, you're going to be an engineer. No? So somehow the stereotypes, no, are not just pronounced in the workplace or in the schools, but these things have something to do with our culture. Okay? And so if we are a department of education that tends to be inclusive, no, not just taking care of the quality basic education. If you want to be inclusive and if you want to be relevant, we also have to think deeply more on these stereotypes. No? Women, we are supposed to make less money than men. And I guess taking on my personal experience, no? Because I'd like to take this as something that is closer to my heart, because this is what my experience is. No? When we have a society, no? When we have a society that that thinks that the male counterparts should be earning more, then we will have trouble on violence against women and children. Kasi we are somehow touching the ego, no, of our male counterparts. And you know how our ego and how our hearts, no, would be affected when it comes to this, because we have a society like this. We have a culture like this. We have families, we have households, and sadly, we have classrooms that are like this. So they are, or we are, no? If you notice, I always I will always say we, I always say our, because this is going to be an organizational teamwork. This is going to be an organizational endeavor. Okay, so if we have society that focuses much on the kailangan yung husband, siya talaga yung pinaka mas dapat yung ano niya kinikita, no? Mas malaki. Dapat kailangan mas maganda, no? Yung trabaho. Then I guess we will have more cases affecting or cases on violence against women and children. That is why I'd like an organization, no, that would premium, no, especially on the kind of husbands that we have, no, that some of us have, no, yung bang we glorify men who are content in staying at home and who are taking care, no, of their children. It's something that not everybody, no, not even the women, okay, are always capable of doing so. When I stay at home, you know what? Honestly, when I stay at home, I get somehow, ano ba? You might be misinterpreting me. I get somehow more analytical, no, of saying na hindi pala talaga madali ang magstay at home, no. I mean, we get to appreciate, okay, the male counterparts, no, our male counterparts who are staying at home and who are taking charge, no, or who are, yes, taking charge of the household, while we women are in work or are in the office. Okay, so that's how I see it. And you know what, as teachers, as department or as members of the Department of Education, we have, I hope we realize that GAD is not just about going to trainings, going to educational trips, it's not just about doing team building activities. The Department of Education, I guess, that is why I was asking Miss Lucille, Doc Lucille kanina, no, of the matrix, because somehow dito sa opening remarks ko, I would be talking about some of the salient points of that depth and order, no, and from there, we realize that gender and development in the workplace, in the Department of Education, that is to say in the schools, in the district offices, in the division offices, in the region and the central office, they are more than team building activities. We have to delve further on how gender and development would work best in the curriculum, no? And the curriculum is not just a piece of paper, okay, via our minimum, okay, essential learning competencies, but the curriculum comes alive, no? And now we are having our classes because the curriculum comes alive in the interaction, no, between the teachers, okay, between and among the teachers and students or learners. And I guess that is also what we will be talking about, no, in this virtual engagement today. How are we going to strengthen, no, this interaction between the curriculum and our learners when we are not seeing them eye to eye, face to face in the classrooms right now? Okay, so they are supposed to cook and do the housework. Woe to me, I don't cook, no, I could only do spaghetti and macaroni salad. This is something. Okay, so minsan buti na lang yung husband ko, siya yung magaling magluto, no, sa aming dalawa. So somehow meron pa ring balance, okay? So it's not that bad, no? They are supposed to cook and we are supposed to do the housework. Pero you know what? I have also heard women or housewives saying, or wives, no? Siguro hindi na lang housewives, or we are simply wives because we are not staying at home, no, 24 hours a day. So I would hear them say, mabasa ra gyud ang akong kamot when manghunaw kay mukaon, ano, kung hagaron mukaon. Okay, so that's it, no? And men do dirty jobs such as construction and mechanics. And we have to realize the implications that these stereotypes are having, no, in our society. Okay, the politics, no, the politics in the society. Okay, when I say politics, it's not about who is running or who are running for a post, no, in the government, the local government units, but it has something to do with how we are running, no. Okay, even the smallest unit, the society, which is the family. Okay, and I believe Attorney Tin is here also, no? I think she would be agreeing on me that there is also a need that we redefine how family is perceived, no? In the family penal code, no? Kasi um, I have this funny encounter with my daughter, no? She said, "Mi, dili pa ta pamilya mi kay wala pa ang bunso. Tatay, nanay, and ate, no? And so we need a bunso bitaw. I'm not justifying, no? I'm just having this is an anecdote perhaps, no? But an anecdote that would have an implication or would have a bearing, no, to what we are doing. Okay, so they are responsible for raising the children. That is why we have male counterparts, our partners, who do not simply understand, no, why they are left at home to take care of our children. And so there comes the trouble is. I have read a good book, no. This skill is called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. I would be showing some of the salient notes that I have it later in my presentation. Okay, so as husbands, men tell their wives what to do. So what could we do inside the classroom, or what could we do right now? No, when we try to communicate, when we try to engage our learners in their class homes, because this could be perhaps this could be easily planned to when it's the old normal. I mean, when there is a face-to-face encounter, no, when there is an on-site gathering of teachers and students. But our challenge right now is how would our LASES and how would our SLMs counteract, no, these stereotypes that are also dictating societal issues like violence against women and children. I guess you have heard or you have read a particular document, no, from the UNICEF, which somehow says na the cases on VAUSI, violence against children, against women and their children, are getting higher and higher because of the pandemic, because our children are not reporting to schools, because our children do not have somebody, a motherly or a fatherly figure by which they could talk about sensitive issues at home. So that is something that we would like to also think about in this virtual engagement regarding gender and development, because as I have emphasized, this is not just about the workplace. No? This is not just about sexual harassment in the workplace. Sexual harassment, bullying in the workplace get into play because we also have this right in our own households. Okay? So as teachers, as members of the Department of Education, we should also be thinking about this. Women are never in charge and men are lazy and or messy. And you know what? It just hit me, no? Ako, may kasalanan siguro din ako nito, no? Kasi pag sasabing, minsan nagiging joke na lang natin, no? Among the women. Siguro kanang kuan siya, orderly siya, organized siya, baka naman hindi siya lalaki. Things like that. No? And so we become, although it's a joke, no? Although it's a joke, but some said that jokes are half meant, but maybe perhaps it's time that we become more sensitive, no, with our with some of the things that we say. Okay, so this is the book that I have been reading. Parang hindi ko yata ma-internalize, no, masyado. Okay, so sa dami ng books na gusto kong basahin, Okay, papiktaw-piktaw na lang akong pagbasa. So let me also share these nuggets from that book. When I said that it has something to do, the GAD issues, VAUSI issues, they all have roots to what we were or how we were raised. Okay, so notice this, that when girls play together daw, they do so in small. Kaya pala yung mga babae, tayo mga babae, ano tayo, tingnan natin isang opisina, there are 10 or more than 10 female employees, but you notice, or kahit sa classroom, there might be 40 girls, but if we notice it, may ano-ano yung mga babae, may kanya-kanyang pundok, di ba? So, that is something that is, also the nature of us girls. We play together, we do so in small, kaya nga merong bahay-bahayan. When I notice children playing on the streets, at home, okay, nakikita ko talaga yung mga babae, I realize pundok-pundok sila. Tapos mamili usahay, mamili pa o kinsay kauban sa ilang balay-balay. Okay, so they do so in small intimate groups, while emphasis is on minimizing hostility and maximizing cooperation, while boys' games are in larger groups with an emphasis on competition. Okay, so this could have a bearing on this will have an implication on how we do cooperative learnings. And again, how are we going to do that right now? How are we going to group together, or how are we going to select the groups of our students who would be interacting with us remotely, and who would be also interacting with the LASES and with the SLMs? Okay, so if a boy who has gotten hurt, notice this. This is a study, a research. If a boy who has gotten hurt gets upset, he's expected to get out of the way and stop crying so the game can go on. And I could always imagine the games by which or with which my own boy were engaged to. Muhilak na gani na siya, magpakilid ra dayon ng akong anak, and so the other boys could continue. But if the same happens among a group of girls who are playing, the game stops while everyone gathers around to help the girl who is crying aba. So, ganyan pala tayo mga babae, So, we tend to help one another. That is why during the National Women's Month, our messages centered on women helping each other. Women, okay, we have the tendency, or we have to harness that attitude, that personality of us, on not to put down another woman, or not to put down women, but also to help each other. But because according to this study, it's our very own nature. Now, going back to the classroom, if I were an instructional supervisor di ay karon, and I'd see cooperative learnings happening in the classrooms, or even in the virtual, I think murag ang na ay facility nga ing anak kana raman yatang Zoom. I do not know with this Google Meet. Pwede siguro, pero if it is possible, the things that are being presented, elucidated in this particular book will have a bearing on the grouping, so the selection of participants, of the different cooperative learning activities that we are going to have in our classrooms. Now, unsaon nato nga magka-meet, I like the title of that chapter, of Daniel Goleman in EI, Intimate Enemies, because this is talking about this chapter particularly talks about man and woman relationship, especially in the marriage. Kaya pala nagka-clash no? Because this is some, I know we have good ideas, no, why we clash, pero this book is putting words, no, into our mouth, no? Kaya pala ito ang nangyayari. Okay, so the difference between boys and girls at play, okay? When we say at play, ito rin, what is going to be emphasized here is in our classrooms, our children play. We watch them play, or we even orchestrated plays, no, between and among boys and girls. So this, everything, okay, has an implication to what we are doing, because that is what we are going to, when we attend seminars, okay, when we attend virtual engagements, ang ato gyud dayon makuanan is, for example, Ma'am Mona is here, no? When I listen to Ma'am Mona, no, in her Sunday radio program, dili na ako malikayan, Ma'am Mon, no, to somehow apply, no, your presentations, or yes, your teachings, the words of God, in how is it that this will be applied, no, in my workplace. Okay, so the disparity, no, between boys and girls at play epitomizes what Harvard's, okay, Carol, I hope I would be saying this correctly, Gilligan, no, points to a key disparity between the sexes. Boys take pride in a lone, tough-minded independence and autonomy, while girls see themselves as part of a web of connectedness. That is why bestseller ang book na Women Are from Venus and Men Are from Mars. No? Okay, so how is it that we could consider these things in the writing, okay, in the quality assurance of our LASES and our SLMs, and how is it that we are able also to consider this when we tell our teachers, okay, in the ways that they do when they virtually, okay, or remotely or face-to-face, okay, engage with their children. Okay, so Simon Freud, no, this is one thing that she said, no, or he said to his disciple Erik Erikson. Okay, muraog familiar man taani ng mga psychologists, no? To love and to work are the twin capacities that mark full maturity. That is why we are also dealing, no, with gender and development in the workplace, because it is in loving and it is also in working that we also tend, no, to show or not to show our maturity and our being immature also. Always, even if we are already 20 years or more in the Department of Education, I tell the newbies here, no, in this particular virtual engagement, it's going always to be a work in progress, no? If we intend to remain, ako talaga, I intend to remain in the Department of Education, no? I could not imagine any other job that I would have, no, outside the Department of Education, no? Kaya nga ang dream ko talaga is to retire at 60 and then I'll put up my own play school, no? So siguro nasa teaching talaga ang dugo ko, no? So if we intend, no, to remain in the Department of Education, every day should be a day of reflection. How is it that we also have, no, there are really days, no, that we also, I'd like to take it myself as an example, no. There are days, no, that I become immature, no. So when before going to sleep, before finally dozing off, no, because It's wrong to say daw I slept at 9:30 because we do not really know the exact time, no, when we have finally dozed off, no. So before I finally doze off, I try to remember, no, the events of the day and tell myself, parang hindi maganda yon, hindi maganda ang ginawa ko. And so tomorrow is another day, and it's a new chance, it's a new opportunity for me to be somehow improving on the way that I become a mature person, that when I get out of the Department of Education, I would still be greeted by my colleagues. I would be not really hearing good things about me, no, but perhaps I would be leaving a not really so great legacy, no, but pero kana si Ma'am Jazz kuning she was a work in progress. She gets better day by day, no? So that is why we are having gender and development, no? Because to love and to work, no, are the twin capacities that mark full maturity. If that is the case, then maturity, okay, if we have situations, if we have issues in the workplace, no, maturity may be an endangered station in life. And the carriage reds in marriage and divorce make EI more crucial than ever. Because I still believe gender and development will still boil down to emotional intelligence. Okay, so this is what I've been saying. GAD in DepEd is more than team building activities. It's more than educational trips. Okay, it's more than this virtual activity. It's more than attribution and everything. Okay, the gender development program will be is a policy, no, that seeks to enable the DepEd to undertake gender mainstreaming in education to address both enduring and emerging gender and sexuality related issues in basic education, to promote the protection of children from all forms of gender-related violence, abuse, exploitation, discrimination, and bullying. And so I have been presenting this particular slide in quite a different forum, and so I say, how is it that we start all these things with us right here in the workplace? Sulig, best morning and welcome to this one-day webinar on gender and development. Thank you, Lucille, for spearheading this activity. Once again, mabuhay tayong lahat and sulig, best morning.
Thank you so much, ASDS Jasmine, for that eye-opening and very, very informative welcome address and discussion. Truly, you are such a blessing to all of us. And now, to recognize the presence of all who are here, let us call on Ma'am Lalaine A. Gamora, Senior Education Program Specialist of the Social Mobilization Section. Ma'am Lala?
Sulig, best morning! Okay na ko audio?
Yes, Ma'am La, loud and clear.
Thank you so much. Okay, mag-open ko sa akong camera. Okay, so Sulig, best morning. So I am here at Bislig City Sports and Cultural Center kay para magpa-vaccine. Itago ko diri sa control room kay para madunggan ko. Anyway, so to recognize everyone, to recognize all the participants for this GAD training today, so I would like to start from the OSDS. So we would like to request that the OSDS will open their cameras, please, as soon as I mention your office. Ba sila ka sa CR? Sa CR, geta na ako, Ma'am Jazz. Unya, kay daghan, may manulod mo to. Nihangyo ko ni searching kabalit diri. Oh, ni searching kabalit. Hello, searching. Nadirian na lang ko sa control room. But anyway, let's start from the OSDS sa personnel section. Please open your cameras and say hi. Under kay Ma'am Shan, mga katauhan. Present ba mo? Hello? OSDS, personnel section. Wala may naningog. Wala siguro ni sila absent. Okay. So, I guess Ma'am Christian Sen Trujillo wala siya karon no kay nag-OB. So, is Sir Joshua around? Sir Joshua, naaba ka? Ma'am Misteria Kabantog, wala? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the finance section, headed by, of course, Miss A, our accountant. From the finance, hello everyone, be kaway-kaway. Open your camera and say hello, hi. Ay, nako. Tingog
Hello!
na. Hi!
Sulit! Best morning!
Yes, uling best morning po. Magkanan niya, Ma'am Tits. Are you all complete?
Present.
Eto mo? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Naka-complete ka ba? Ay, sa akin.
Present.
Hi, Ma'am Kat.
Kompleto.
Hello, Sir Jerry. Okay. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Ed. So, kumpleto ang finance section. Now, what about the dispersing section? Headed by, of course, our AO4, Ma'am Lorly Libora. Ate Lors, naaba si Ate Lorlins, Ate Thea. Open your camera, please, if you are around, or tingog, or...
Nag-open namin.
Okay, hi. Ana. Okay, naka-open na silang Christiansen. Okay, okay na ang personal section. That's good. Okay. Okay, that's
Pati ang
Christian naman.
personal naka-open.
Okay, thank you so much from the personal section. Okay, so, yeah, with Ma'am Ma'am, okay, tatanda. Kung makakuan si tata, Korean effect, galore gyud. Okay, what about the admin section? So, naa sila, Ma'am Luella Milian, headed by, of course, Ma'am Luella Milian. Hello! Nato si Ma'am, si Ma'am Bing. Nakita na ako si Ma'am Bing, pero wala ko kita ni Ma'am Luella. Please open your cameras, please. Or comment. Or pwede po mo tingog mo if you're around. Okay. Now, what about from the disbursing section? Sila, Ma'am Thea, sila Ninin. Naaba mo? Hello? No cam and mic, ma'am. Personal sa office. Okay. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Okay, wala daw sila cam o mic. Okay. Sunod question kay, are you all vaccinated? Correct. Oh, are you all vaccinated? O, tanawa sa akong likod diri, adaghan kaayo. So, magpaano mi og Janssen kasi one shot lang siya. Please don't forget magpa-vaccine kita, guys. Kasi no vaccination, no, you will not be enlisted for the incoming election. Di mo pwede mo serve sa election. Charot. Mo giday ang purpose, magpa-vaccine. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much from the personal section. Now, let us move on. Nabakoy na miss from the property and supply. Headed by our AO4, Naaba? Ma'am Goya ang chief. Tiwas. Ma'am Goya. Supply section, complete. Thank you so much, Sir Alvin. Okay, headed by Sir Alvin Impredo. So, kompleto ang supply section. What about the ICT section? Headed by our IT officer, Sir Christopher Habagat. Butingting, Richel, are you there?
Complete.
Ay, Sir Alvin. Hello, Sir Alvin. Okay, present po ang property supply. Perfect.
Go ICT! Go!
Okay, go ICT. Thank you so much, boys. Okay, so okay na ang atong OSDS. I hope wala ako'y na-miss, no? Pag-recognize today's GAD training. Now, let us have the SGOD. SGOD. Open your cameras. Asa na sila, Ma'am Adele? Sila okay. Open your cameras, guys. Sir Jaime.
Sulig best morning.
Yo, Jexa.
Present. Sulig best morning.
Sulig
best morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Oh, hi. Sa atong planning section.
Good morning.
Yes. So,
Hi,
sa
Ma'am La.
planning and research section, present sila, H and N. Okay, thank you so much. Present sila Nagbugoy and si Ma'am Che. Okay, Jex, are you, ikaw ra ba Jexa? So naman sila Doc Apple, no? I believe sila Ma'am Hana.
Sila sa office.
Nasa sa office and also they are, naka po sila karon. No?
Guys, ato naman sa office, kay nami girl sale.
Wow, charot. Okay, hello. Doc Apple. Oh, si Doc Apple, nag-open na siya sa camera. Thank you so much. So, okay po ang SGOD. And the last but not the least, the CID team, the CID people, the supervisors at the same time, ang ato ang sila Ma'am Celeste, of course, na sila Ma'am Faith. Best morning, Ma'am Faith. Si Ate Gra, na si Ate Gra, si Sis Chay, ang LRT.
Good morning, Ma'am La.
Best morning. Hello,
From senior high
Son.
school.
Okay, Senior high school. Yes.
From Pilar.
What about the
Pilarin.
supervisors? Hello, Sir Jai. Okay.
Hi.
What about the ALS people?
Johnson and Johnson. Hello, good morning.
Ma'am Sir Victor. Suling best
Good morning.
Ma'am Angelina. Yes.
Happy
Oh, it's so nice to see your, Ma'am Beth, napa-open. Okay. Yes, Ma'am Desiedi, Ma'am Beth, PSDSS nato. Hello, sulig best morning. Okay, na ako'y na-miss. Wala na ba ako'y na-miss sa inyo, guys? Okay, thank you so much to our PSDSS.
Good morning, Vaccine.
So, hello, sir. Karon pa ko magpa-vaccine. Again, so wala pa nakapa-vaccine. A3, available pa po. Like Janssen karon, one shot lang, Johnson & Johnson.
Vaccine.
Ikan sa Maldives.
Unsaon na lang Maldives nato diha, Ma'am Mills. Kasosyal ba? Pasalubungin ni og mga balas diha sa Maldives, no?
Ano size pa dire? Late man tag.
Wow.
Late.
Oh, grabe ka social. Okay.
Good morning,
Sige.
everyone. Uli na ko mahapon.
Wow, sige. Happy trip, Ma'am Mills, ka-birds. Belated happy birthday, ka-birthday ra ba din ako? Okay. So, Ma'am Chrissy Arpilieda, wala daw si Ma'am Cam. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Mills. So, katong mga wala daw kuno sila yung mga Cam. Thank you so much. Just, comment. Just comment below. Wala lang kung nag-vlog, no? Comment lang so that ma-document ang inyong presence today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Ma'am Faith.
Legal and kay Ma'am
so much,
SDS.
Ay, okay. Yes. Before na ko makalimtan, ay, what about ang legal section? Makasabaan. Hello, Ma'am Mona. Makasabaan na kayo nakalimtan. What about the legal section? Attorney Teen. Baki open. Attorney Teen and then Kimi. Also, with Sir Eliakim. Asa na si Attorney Teen? Is Attorney Teen around? Hello, Attorney Teen. Okay. Okay. Yes, nanload na ko. Sorry, Teen.
Ron, paki-check.
Thank you so. I guess everyone has been acknowledged ang presensya sa Matag Usa. Thank you so much, Ma'am Lala, for going the extra mile to facilitate the attendance check. Be blessed sa imong vaccination today and daghang salamat sa presensya ug energy sa Matag Usa. So, gender development is indeed a topic that deserves to be highlighted since it affects us all. To tell us more about the purpose of this training, let us welcome PSDS Lucille C. Abunares, PhD, our Division GFPS Coordinator. Ma'am Lucille.
Sulig best morning, everyone. Sulig best morning to our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Gregoria Tisu, to our ASDS, Ma'am Jasmine Lacuna, to our two chiefs, Sir Demi Kinal and Doc Marvelin Francia, to my fellow education program supervisors and PSDSS, to the division personnel. Sulig best morning, everyone. Ron, could I share? Thank you kaganina to Ma'am Jasmine for paving the way, for serving as the prelude to our discussion this morning. Okay, so let me share to you why we are here or why we are doing this activity today. Ron, could you now see my presentation? Okay, I shall be giving to you the purpose why we are here. So earlier we have heard of gender issues as mentioned by Ma'am Jazz. So in line with this, there are mandates that are in place for the gender and development. And in support to these mandates, the Department of Education issued DepEd Order number 32, series of 2017, or the Gender Responsive Basic Education Policy. And this will be the meat of our discussion this morning as to how we will be responding as a government agency to respond to the gender and development mandates. So these GAD mandates are stipulated in the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the Republic Act number 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women, or the MCW, and also from the Philippines International Human Rights Commitments to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or the UDHR, and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or the SIDAW, among others. Now, our version of the SIDAW is the Magna Carta of Women. Now, through these policies, DepEd commits to integrate the principles of gender equality, gender equity, gender sensitivity, and non-discrimination and human rights in the provision of programs and policies consistent with the agency's vision, mission, values, and mandates. Now, to ensure also that we implement this policy in our division, we have identified and included activities in our GAD plan and budget that shall promote employees' physical, mental, psychological, social, and spiritual well-being that are gender responsive. That is why we are doing this capacity building for all the employees so that we could handle gender issues and concerns that are included in the basic gender and development concepts and how we maintain safe spaces and practice gender sensitivity in our workplace. That's why we are doing this capacity building. Now, this will be the flow of our seminar proper from 9:10, we'll have our health break that should be 9 to 9:10. From 9:10 to 10:10, we'll be having the basic GAD concepts. And from 10 to 10:30, gender responsive basic education policy. From 10:30 to 12 will be Dr. Tin will be coming in to discuss on the gender-based sexual harassment and the Safe Spaces Act. And from 12 to 1 will be our lunch break. Then we'll be back in the afternoon. From 1 to 3, we'll have the discussion on SOGIE SC. And from 3 to 3:15, the health break. 3:15 to 4:30, Fritzy will be coming in to discuss on mental health and psychosocial support. And from 4:30 to 5 will be our closing program. So that's the flow of our discussion this morning, our webinar this morning. And thank you very much. So stay by. I hope everybody will be with us this morning as we continue the training. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc Seal, for that enlightening. And now to give us her message, brilliant and admirable Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Gregoria T. Su.
Thank you very much. Faith, is my audio okay?
Yes, SDS, loud and clear.
Okay. So again, solid best morning to each and everyone. First, let us really thank God for this beautiful day and this gift of life that we receive every day. You know, the moment we woke up early in the morning, so we really have to thank Him for all the blessings and especially this gift of life that we receive. And I'd like to thank also all our DepEd division personnel for joining us of this, the first ever that we have in this enhancement orientation for the basic GAD concepts. And I'd like to personally thank our GFPS members of the division. Congratulations, we have already our new members of the division GFPS, and I know later on we are going to have a oath taking so that you will really function as members of the GFPS in the division. And I'd like to thank our focal person of God in the division for really doing and accepting the challenge to be our new division focal person of God, Dr. Lucille Abunales. Thank you so much, Doc Sil. And of course, together with here, our secretariat, Roni Gingi, and I have to thank all our speakers and facilitators for this whole day orientation. To our speakers, Doc Lucille, Ronnie, Attorney Tin, and Fritchie Magada. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, and even your attitude of disseminating or giving us inputs of the basic concepts. Personally, myself, I really have to enhance again because sometimes we are already forgetfulness. We learned this already many years ago, and we need to enhance ourselves. We need to have that review. What are really these concepts of God, especially that we are now dealing with the responsive workplace. You know, yesterday was a very momentous day to all of us, not only in Bislig City, but the whole Philippines and even worldwide. First, in our division, we have already the PBB. So I'd like to inform our division personnel, the non-teaching personnel, rank and file, and the top management. You will already receive your 2019 PBB. O, virtual clap naman yan, no? Virtual clap page. So our EO is now reviewing the payroll. I already called her early in the morning because we want to make sure that we really have to release ASAP with your PBB 2019. No? So thank you, EO Christian. I hope that will be processed anytime today, so that will be my gift, birthday gift to all of you. No, ako nang magregalo. So congratulations for the team in the preparation for our PBB. Kasi nag-workshop sila many months ago and even a year ago just to finalize, because that time we were not really sure if the division personnel can really receive the PBB for 2019. What we are sure only are the school personnel. So tapos na nag-receive yung school personnel, so it's our time now for the division personnel to receive, and it's a blessing, no? So we really have to thank kay we did not expect that the division personnel will really receive this blessing, this PBB. And yesterday also, we have another blessing that we received. We received a memo from no less than from our regional director that the BCD SPED Center sustained their SBM level 3 of practice. So congratulations to the family of Bislig City SPED Center. O, virtual clap naman, Ron, Faith, virtual clap. Palakpak, no? So I'd like to congratulate Bislig 6 District led by Sir Jerry Pupira and of course the principal of BCD, SPED Center, and all the teachers and the stakeholders. But I'd like to thank also our technical working group from the division. I know without you also that surveillance will not be successful. So congratulations, SGOD Chief, CID Chief, all the EPs, the SEPs, and of course to our advisor, SBM advisor, Ma Mercy Huralbar, and our SBM division coordinator, Sir Oki Kimilat. Congratulations. And I am hoping that we can have more SBM level 3 practice of our schools in our division. So congratulations. And yesterday also, It's not only the pride of Bislig City, the pride of Mindanao, the pride of the Philippines, but the whole world, because we have the ever first gold medal for the Tokyo Olympics. Gold medalist in the name of Hidilyn Diaz in the event of weightlifting. You know, I personally interviewed her during the time of 2017 Siram Regional Meet, because we hosted the 2017 Tandag City and Surigao del Sur. I was the time the superintendent of Tandag City Division, because we invited her. I personally invite her to our quarter, and I happened to interview her a lot of questions, because I was really amazed during that time. I know, looking at here, mas she has really a lot of future, or a good future, kasi nakita ko talaga her commitment to her event. So I asked her personally. I asked her, where did you get that strength that you have? Imagine how many kilograms she has to carry with that kind of mass. And then she told me, you know, mom, I came from a very poor family. So I also learned a lesson from her story, And she told me, you know, mom, I came from a very poor family. I was only a working student. But during my time as working student, ang trabaho pala niya is tig-alsa ng tubig. So lifting big pails, mga balde na tubig, and delivered it to the different houses. So that time na develop pala yung ability niya, yung strength niya for lifting that big talaga, big pail of water. So that started her career as a weightlifter. And then when she was already in college she was offered by an Air Force. So member talaga siya ng Air Force. That's why when our Philippine anthem was sung during her pag-receive ng medal, nagsalute siya, kasi usually pag ang umawi tayo ng pambansang awit natin, we have to place our hand on our chest. But siya nagsalute because she is a member of an Air Force. So ang Air Force recruited her, sila na ang nagpaaral. While nag-aral siya sa Air Force, then she is also nag-train siya sa weightlifting. If you are going to really have the story of Hidilyn, you know, Hidilyn Diaz now is 50 million. More or less, makareceive siya ng prize ng 50 million pesos. So millionaire talaga siya, no? So she is now very rich because of that gold medal. So sa story ni Hidilyn, we can say that really, women can really excel. Woman can really excel, and a woman can conquer the world, diba? So Hidilyn is a living example of gender equality. Although she is a woman, but she was able to conquer the world, not only the world, but the whole universe. Because over the past 3 decades, the problem of gender equality has gained an unprecedented public attention. It was already discussed by our ASDs. Thank you, ASDs, for that very good introduction of our seminar on God. And for that stereotyping. So it is considered one of the most vital issues and discussed in every platform. Teka muna, inmok tubig. Hindi to kubig. So as wala na pong boses. Relax muna, relax. But then as generation from generation came, na change na yung pananaw ng mga tao sa mundo, no? In fact, when Emma Watson was interviewed, we know Emma Watson. Diba? Alam natin kung sino si Emma Watson. And when she was interviewed, she said, "It is time that we all see gender as the spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals." You know what is a spectrum? An example of a spectrum is the rainbow. I am a physics teacher, no? So I know the reason why we have the appearance of the rainbow. Although in the Bible, it's really a sign that God will not send us great floods. But in science, the appearance of rainbow is the result of the spectrum, or when light travels, kasi yung light is really consists of different colors. So when it will strike in a prism, and the rain is considered as a prism, it will form a different colors as the result of the spectrum. So the spectrum usually is composed of different colors. So here, according to Emma, instead of opposing ideals, men competing with women, and then women competing with men, we really have to make sure that we have to see gender as one, as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. And we know that because in the Magna Carta for Women, RA 9710 defines God program perspective, and the process should be participatory. Hindi lang babae lang ang RA 9710, lahat-lahat na including men. It should be participatory, empowering, equitable, sustainable, free from violence, respectful to human rights. Whose objective really, the God objective, is to have the same personal freedom between men and women, and protection against all forms of aggression. And we know the benefits of this gender equality, especially in the workplace. It can really improve productivity. We should be more cohesive and more productive in our workplace if we have this gender equality. And it can also increase organizational performance. Because, why is it na maka-increase yan ng organizational performance? Because all the members of the organization feel respected and they will be motivated to work. And eventually, we are all happy employees. So that's why I'd like to thank Rayleigh Lucille for this action. I suggested to her that unahin natin yung division personnel, and then we have to cascade this to the school heads, to our teachers, so that they will really have this grasp of the God concepts. So thank you, Lucille, and the rest of the members of the group. And I hope all of us will really learn for the whole day. Ako mag-multitasking. Right now, I have a lot of certificates, diplomas that I need to sign to finish. And I really have to listen also because I want to learn. Although malapit na akong mag-retire, but then I really have to learn also because this is very important, not only for the workplace, but also for our own family. So again, congratulations and thank you sa lahat for the advanced birthday greetings. So mag-invite those who are work from home. I hope you can join with us our lunch tomorrow. So mag-physical distancing, I already told Sir Maing, dapat Sir Maing, di magdungan, no? So one at a time. I hope you can join also my celebration because this is my first time to celebrate my birthday in Bislig City Division. Last birthday ko, I was in Tandag City, no? Nag-celebrate ko together with my husband pa. And in fact, he was in his coffin. So imagine celebrating my birthday na siya sa lumot. So this time, I hope this is different. So I hope you can join, although na ay ato health protocols, but then we just have to observe na lang health protocols and join us. Those nang work from home. So thank you very much. Na emotional na kulusit. Thank you, Fit, and good luck to each and every one of us and happy learning.
Yes, thank you so much, SDS Goya, for that inspiring message. And we declare God's blessings and grace always be upon you on your birthday. And also, we are very overjoyed by all the positive news that you have shared. And indeed, GAD is all about harmony, unity, and cooperation among genders. So at this point, let us hear health tips from our very own Dr. Ruby May Populaba. Dr. V. Doc Ruby.
Faith, if Doc Ruby is not yet ready, then we could just proceed. Then maybe this afternoon, the first part before the topic of Ronnie will si Doc Ruby na mo come in. Thank you.
Okay, yes, noted, Doxil. So, as Doxil mentioned, Dr. B will be starting our afternoon sessions later on with the health tips. And now, so this ends our opening program for this training. To follow is the session proper. So, please continue to tune in with us as you will be learning a lot throughout the day. But before that, let us have a few gentle reminders on webinar etiquette for all our participants. First, let us show up on time so that we will not miss any important information. Second, please turn off your webcam during the presentation and during breaks, unless you are told to turn it on. Third, please wait your turn when asking questions, or you may use the chat box or wait to be acknowledged. The fourth etiquette is to ask questions concisely. So, in asking questions, let us state our full name, our school or section, and who you would like to ask, or who is the question directed to. And then state your question. Once again, your name, your school or section, and who your question is directed to. And our fifth etiquette or reminder is to refrain from using the chat room to socialize, especially when the presenter is lecturing. So that's it. I hope that everyone is ready for our first session. Our first session will be on gender responsive basic education policy, and this will be immediately followed by a discussion on basic GAD concepts to be facilitated by our PSDS Cecile C. Abunales, our Division GFPS coordinator. Doc Sil.
Thank you very much, Faith, for the introduction. Okay, this time we'll have the seminar proper. Ron, could I share now? Murang nawala akong share nga option. Present option. Sulig best morning once again to everyone. I hope everybody is ready. So while waiting for the present option, pwede mo makapangihi ka dali and be sure to be back. Okay, sige. Ano na siya? Okay, I hope that is already showing in your screens. Okay. Wait lang for a while. Kaya nag-reading view pa ko. Okay. Oh, that's it. Okay na? Okay, so here we are on the basic God concepts towards a gender responsive workplace. Once again, let me thank Ma'am Jazz for setting the prelude for us this morning on our discussion, and also to Ma'am Goya for that wonderful, kumbaga, motivation and the story of Heidelin Diaz. No, indeed, God, no, gender roles have changed. Okay, we have broken the stereotypes. Now, like also as what Mom Just also has presented, those are stereotypes and those are gender issues that we need to consider, and that is why we have this gender and development mandates. Now, in this discussion, I'll be discussing three major topics. But before that, let me just give credit to the source of this presentation. I got this from Sir Edson Alejo of the Commission on Human Rights. Now, this was his presentation during the GAD webinar that I attended in the city, being a member also of the city GFPS. So some parts, or the most parts of this presentation, came from his topic. No. Okay, so our topics will be on three sections. You have why do we advocate God, the basic God concepts, and gender mainstreaming, in where we would be leading on to the discussion on how DepEd is supporting gender mainstreaming actions. Okay, now, so we have this. Now, why do we advocate for God? Okay, why do we advocate for God? First is we have these three very important reasons, these mandates. Now, first is that we do, for a while lang ha, okay. We advocate God because of compliance. Second is that we advocate God because of our commitment, and we advocate God because it's an obligation. Now, why do we have to comply? Per the General Appropriations Act, or the GAA, and RA 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women, the gender and development programs of the local governments, all government offices, agencies, should have or should provide at least or allocate at least 5% of the total agency or LGU budget, in the case of our LGUs, appropriations that shall correspond to activities supporting God plans and programs. So that is per RA 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women. Now, from that Republic Act, we are mandated to comply to gender sensitivity training, shall we do? And then we have to do God analysis, establish the God focal system, and craft our God plan and budgeting. Because if we could not do this, okay, tingnan nyo yan, my ex dyan, you will be audited by COA and be issued the AOM. So that's Audit, Observation, and Memorandum. Luckily this year, hindi tayo nabigyan ng COA AOM, no? Masaya tayo dyan. Now, because it's very important that we follow these four very important mandates of this to comply. We have gender sensitivity trainings, and that is why we are doing this. Okay, as part of the compliance, we have already established the God focal system. We conducted God analysis before we did the God planning and budgeting. Okay, now, aside from the compliance, we do God, or we do advocate for God, because it's our commitment to the international laws and our national commitment. So for the international commitment, we are committed to observe the guidelines set by SDO, or this is what you call the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. So that's SDO. And the BF, or the BPFA, or the Beijing Platform for Action, and the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals. And we also have our national commitment to the Philippine Constitution, the Magna Carta of Women, Women in Nation Building, the PPGD, the Philippine Development Plan, and the GW Plan. So we'll discuss this in just a bit. No, when you say the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or the CEDAW, we are committed to observe this convention, and this is an International Bill of Rights of Women. So this CEDAW is an International Bill of Rights of Women, and this convention provides the basis for realizing equality between women and men through ensuring women's equal access to and equal opportunities in political and public life. Earlier, Mom Jazz mentioned about stereotypes, how men regarded women and women were regarded before and how we regarded men. There was even like some sort of mention like before ang mga babae were not given equal opportunities to hold public office. So thus, this convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women was conceived, okay? Another is that we are committed to the Magna Carta of Women, which is our country's translation of the CEDAW, okay? So another commitment that we have in order, that's why we advocate for God, is the Beijing Platform for Action, or the BPFA. This platform, or this BPFA talks about gender mainstreaming, which was explicitly endorsed as a strategy to ensure that a gender perspective is reflected in all policies and programs at the national, the regional, and even in the international level. So take note of gender mainstreaming now, because it's part of our mandate that we do this. And another commitment that's why we advocate for God is on the Sustainable Development Goals. So the SDG has 17 goals, and there is an urgent call for action by all countries, whether developed and developing, in a global partnership to achieve these goals. So we do advocate for God because we have to answer to this call of the Sustainable Development Goals. So there are 17, that there should be no poverty, no hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality. Nandyan tayo dito, okay? Clean water and sanitation, clean energy, good jobs, economic and economic growth, innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption, protect the planet, life below water, life on land, peace and justice, and partnership with the goals. So saan tayo? We have number 5, that is our action to the Sustainable Development Goals. What are our national commitments? We have the 1987 Philippine Constitution that states in Article 2, Section 11, that the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Meanwhile, Article 2, Section 14 states that the state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall promote the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. So, gender equality of men and women. Aside from that, we have the RA 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women, which is what I've said is the local translation of the CEDAW, which is particularly in defining gender discrimination, state obligation, substantive equality, and temporary special measures. We also have commitment to RA 7192, which is the Women in Development and Nation Building Act. This mandates that all government offices shall ensure that the women benefit equally and participates meaningfully in the development process. Okay, so We also have commitment to the Philippine Plan for Gender Responsive Development, or the PPGD. Now, this plan institutes gender and development efforts in government by incorporating God concerns as spelled out in the plan, in their planning, programming, and budgeting process. So, this PPGD is an offshoot of the Philippine Development Plan of Women from 1989 to 1992. So, because of this PPGD, ninggawas na ang pag-institutionalize of the 5% from the GAA, okay, that we allocate 5% from the GAA to support gender and development initiatives. Okay. Now, from the Philippine Development Plan, we are committed to observe the 3 pillars, which is number 1, malasakit or enhancing the social fabric, pagbabago or inequality reducing transformation, and number 3 is patuloy na pag-unlad or increasing growth potential. So the 3 pillars under the Philippine Development Plan is malasakit, pagbabago, at patuloy na pag-unlad. And we also are committed to the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Plan, which is a compendium of the indicators for monitoring and evaluation of the GWE in the Philippines. So this compendium represents or presents a menu of GWE indicators in various sectoral and thematic areas of concerns in the Philippines. That's why every year after our implementation of the GAD plan and budget, we go back to the GWE and assess whether we have followed or observed the indicators per the GWE. Okay? This GWE is the key reference in formulating GAD and development agenda and complement the Philippine Plan for Gender Responsive Development, or the PPGD. The third reason why we advocate for GAD is because we have this obligation. Gender and development is an obligation of the government. This is development that is national and has a government that advocates gender and development. We have an obligation to advocate for gender and development for good governance, inclusive growth, and national development. All right, so here, let's take a summary of that. The 3 reasons why we advocate for GAD is for compliance. 5% of the GAD budget is allotted for that. We have this commitment to the CEDAW, BPFA, SDG, Philippine Constitution, RA 9710, RA 7192, PPGD, PDP, and the GWE. And it is our obligation to the national development, inclusive growth, and good governance. Okay. Now, so we already have section 1. We'll now move on to section 2 of our discussion. So what are the basic GAD concepts? Okay. Before that, okay, let's just have a short test of agree or disagree. Okay? Now, I'd like you to comment in our chat box if you agree or disagree. Comment 1 if you agree and 2 if you disagree. Okay? Sige. A mother is the light of the home and a father is the foundation of the home. Agree, disagree. Please comment in our chat box. 1 if you agree, 2 if you disagree. Okay? Perhaps there are no right and wrong answers here. Okay, do I hear comments? Okay, or do you have your answers now? Number 2. The man should be the main breadwinner of the family. Agree or disagree? 1 or 2. Please key in your answers now. Do we have answers? Okay, 1. I see 1. I see 2. I see 1 comment. Okay, I see disagree. Marami, no? Iba-iba talaga ang pananaw ng ating basahan. Okay, number 3. Women sensitive and emotional. Agree or disagree? Please key in your answers. 1 for agree, 2 disagree. Oh, number 1. 1 agree. Okay, disagree. Okay, next. Lahi-lahi yun no. Number 3 na disagree. Number 3 disagree. Number 3 agree. Okay, lahi-lahi yung answer. Lahi-lahi tag pananaw. Next is, a woman should be blamed if she is raped because she stays late in the streets and wears sexy clothes. Munang mingutag, Marisi, munang girip kay nagsutog sinina nga mubo. Agree, disagree. We see answers. Number 4, disagree. Number 2, dili gyud i-blame ang women nga nung na-rape siya. Daghan kay disagree. Agdapoy nig-agree. Nga babae, basulo ng babae. Jag manyak lang jud ang uban, hahaha, ingon ni Jessa. Okay. Sige. Nalagi dayon manyak. Last, okay? A man should not be blamed for his wife, for his violent behavior if his wife refuses to have sex with him. Dili daw na to basulon ang bana nga iyang kulatahon ang iyang asawa kung dili makipag-sex. Agree, disagree. Ala, nag-disagree. Nay mag-agree ani? Nay mag-agree? Ahaha, nice one. Nay mag-disagree ani? O nay mag-agree ani? Nganong sabot-sabot lang, correct. Nilang good ko latahay. Ala, si Kimilat lagi kay nag-agree. Okay ra ka diha. But like I've said, there are no right and wrong answers. These are your perceptions, no? On these questions. Very good. Thank you for your participation. So those are our beliefs. No? Those are what we see. Now, if you disagree, those are things that you see because of what we perceive men and women should be in the society, okay, and how they should behave as men and women. Now, next one is, do you agree that there is a difference between sex and gender? Na bay kalahian si sex o si gender? Unsa man ang sex? Unsa pud ang gender? No, when someone is asked, what is sex? May nain kag 3 times a day. Is that the definition of sex? And what is the definition of gender? Okay, what is sex? Do we see sex as this one? Do we mean sex as this, the biological differences between women and men? Okay, or this is the permanent and universal description of, a person, no, identity of a person. Okay. So when we mean sex, this refers to biological differences between women and men. And this is permanent and universal. Like men are called men because they have this male reproductive system. They have the penis, they have the testicles or the testes, okay, they have the scrotum, they have the urethra. So this means that ikaw gitawag kag lalaki because you have this. Okay, you have this organ. And ikaw gitawag sad kag nga babae because you have the female reproductive system, that is the fallopian tube, you have your vagina, you have the cervix, you have the uterus. That's why in our PDS, ang atong gibutang din ha is not gender but sex. So, we only refer to two, which is male or female. Okay, do we get this right? Next, what about gender? Unsay kalahian ni gender o ni sex? So when you say gender, this is socially constructed. This refers to your social relations between women and men. This refers to your relationship between women, men, girls, and boys. And when you say gender, this refers to your gender roles, which are dynamic and which could change over time. Earlier, si Ma'am Jazz mentioned nga lahi-lahi na ron, no? Lahi na karon sa una we see men, like mingon ko kung ang men kuno manglimpyo sa balay, manglaba, dili na men. Kung ang men pod nakuha na ko tong ganina nga limpyado, magduda nga dili na siya men. But napaymingon nga kining akong bana mas limpyado pa ni sa ako, pero di ko sure or sure ko nga dili gyud ni siya bayot, laki gyud ni siya. So those are roles that we see before nga kung dapat ang maglimpyo sa balay, magluto, manglaba, lalaki lang yun, no? Or babae, babae lang yun. But now, roles or gender roles are dynamic and they change over time. Now, and gender refers to SOGIE. This is sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. This afternoon, Ronnie will go deeper into the discussion of SOGIE as he discussed the SOGIE SC. Actually, nana siya karoy SC. Okay? Is now SOGIE, SOGIE, and SC. Later, i-discuss na ni Ronnie this afternoon. So, let's just have a short review. Again, let's have this as interactive as possible, no? How do you identify men, women, or both? So, in your chat box, you type 1 for men, type 2 for women, type 3 for both. Okay? So, I'll present to you situations, and then you type 1 for men, type 2 for women, 3 for both. Okay. These are gender roles. Number 1. Okay, could you see this? When you say clerk of court, is this for men? 1, 2 for women, 3 for both. Okay, type. Input now. Okay? Sige. Mayroon nang sabi, 3, 3, 3. Click clerk of court. Okay, next. Lawyer. Is this 1, 2, or 3? Okay. I see answers 3, 3, 3. Okay. Nurturing or caring for children or pagpapadako sa mga bata, is this 1, 2, or 3? Oh, I see a lot of answers. 3, 3, 3. Vagina. 1 men, 2 women, 3 both. Vagina. Uy, nalagi dag 3. O, kaganina pa ning answer. Okay. Now, or kaganina pa ning answer. Okay. Sige, sige. Next, toy car. Is this for men, women, or both? So, 1 women, 1 man, 2 women. Okay, I see answers 3. Na answer 1, na 3. Both, na 3. Okay, daming answer ng 3. Domestic helper. 1, 2, or 3. Domestic helper. Okay, domestic helper 1, 3, 3, 1, or kaganina pa ba ning mga answer ninyo? Okay, 3, 3, 3, o daghan na si 3. So si domestic helper could be both. Okay, cook, kusinero, kusinera, unsa man siya. Okay, daming answer 3, 3, 3. Farmer. Okay, farmer. Okay, answer 3, 3, 3. Sa unang manggudno kay moingon dayon tag kung ang mag-uma ang lalaki ra gyud. Karon lahi na gid atong pananaw, no? Daghan na nag-ingon nga 3 could be both. Barbie doll. Oh, ito si Barbie doll. Si Barbie doll, men, women, or both? Oh, si Barbie doll kuno na ay 2, 2, 2, 3. Dulaan ni okay. Number 3, number 2, number 3. 3 kaayo. O, 3 kunog yan si Barbie doll. Oo. Naiuban nga, ang Barbie doll pang lalaki o pang babae ra gyud naingon nga si Barbie doll, pwede na sad pud siya pag pang lalaki. Why not? Okay, why not? Okay. Firefighter. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Depende ko no. So, child rearing. Okay? Child rearing. Pagpadako sa bata, babae or lalaki or both. Okay, I see answers 3. More on 3. Penis. Kani, si penis, unsa jud ni siya? 1, 2, or 3? Oh, wapo ko nakita nga bagong answer ha. Oh, si penis 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh, because kay lalaki si penis. So, menstruation. Menstruation. Si menstruation. Pang babae, si menstruation, pang lalaki. Asa daw mapalit yung si Jessa. Menstruation is for women. Okay, next. Toy guns. Toy gun. Sige. Construction worker, toy gun. Ay, di hala, no? Naididugo nga lalaki sa KMGS, bitaw, no? Fish vendor. Fish vendor. Okay, ito. Breastfeeding, pagpatutoy, breast coming from the breast, dili tong sa beberon ha. Breastfeeding. Daghan pa nag-answer og 3. Ay, nalagi number 4. Lahi na ng imo Jerry vibes. Breastfeeding, 3 for both. Gardening, plantita, plantito, plantitutit. Okay, gardening. Oy, si Sir Jen nag-raise of hand. Yeah, onya, Sir Jen, gusto ka mo comment? Secretary, teacher, Doc Jola, 2. Oo. Kaganina to sa breastfeeding. Childbearing. Kang kinsa ni nga work ning childbearing. Paki-code kog CB para ma-answeran dyan na to. Paki-code kog CB mga ma'ams and mga sirs. Okay? Paki-code CB. Unsa ning childbearing? 1, 2, or 3? Dili ni pa mind. Paki-code CB. 1, 2, 3. Childbearing. Ang sa pagpanamkon og bata, pwede sa both. Pagburos, pwede sa both. Okay, toy tea set. Pagdulaan ning toy tea nga mga sets, mga tea sets, mga bata. Okay, judge. Hairbrush. Okay, I see a lot of answers nga 3. Sige. Later ato na siyang ma-clarify in our discussion. Okay. Sir Jenry, kay raised hands, would you want to raise an issue or a comment? Sige lang, comment lang diha Sir Jenry. Okay, sige. Let me now continue. Thank you very much for your participation. No? Now, what we are talking about are what we call the sex roles versus the gender roles. Now, what were those sex roles that we have presented there, that were given as an example? So these are roles according to the reproductive function of a person's body. So this is according to the reproductive functions of a person's body. So when you say for male, this is the reproductive function of the body of the male. So, unsa may reproductive function sa body sa male? Ang pag-release of sperm cell, right? Tama ba ko, Doc Jola? Okay? For sa pang babae, unsa may reproductive function sa babae? Ang pagmabdos, okay? Ang childbearing, that is a reproductive function of the female. Doc Jola, nabay lalaki nga mabuntis or naba po'y lalaki nga makapatutoy o namin naagay gatas? Oo, let's ask the persons here who are in authority for this, no? Unsa man ni sila kini mga babae, kini mga laki, pwede ba sila magbuntis? Pwede ba sila magpatutoy? Nabay gatas ang laki. Yes, Doc Jola.
Doon sa pwede. Kay number 1, hindi sila mabuntis. Wala sila uterus. Wala sila yung mga ovaries. So, impossible dyan nga inaana matabo.
Oo, impossible. No? Generally, impossible. Katong naigawas lang nga na ilalaki nga ni nabuntis, siguro to nailahi tong kondisyon, no? Di siguro gito siya pure lalaki sa iyahang internals, no? Siguro. So, therefore, si lalaki is the reproductive function of the lalaki is to reproduce, to give the sperm cell, and then si babae ang pagmabdos, pag-childbearing, and padede, no? Yes, that's the reproduction of the sex role of a woman or a female. Now, the gender roles are those roles a person is expected to perform as a result of being male or female in a particular culture. Take note of the word culture because we have varying cultures na kultura sa uban nga ang mga babae di gid nila paalsahon og bugat. Okay? Because these are roles that are set by the culture. Okay? These are roles that are set by the community. So these gender roles refer to what is expected for a male or a female to perform in reference to his or her particular culture. Kita manggod sa una, ug makakita ta og lalaki nga nang laba, okay, nang hinlo sa balay, ato na dayon siyang i-brand, i-call dayon nga bayot or what? Kay kanang pagpanghinlo sa pagpadako sa ato mga trabaho na siya sa pangbabayi because that was our culture before, no? We were raised with that culture. But now, gender roles have evolved. Gender roles have changed over this period, no? Naglahi-lahi ng atong pananaw. Sa unang mga babayi, dili pala katrabahoon sa ang role sa pagpanarbaho, ang role sa pagpangita o pagbuhi sa pamilya, role lang na sa mga lalaki. Ang babayi puyo sa balay. But now, this has changed, no? So these are gender roles that has changed. So this now compare the sex roles versus gender roles. When you say sex roles, these are referring to the reproductive system to release of the sperm cell. That's the sex role of the male, okay? As well as for the female, that is to breastfeed and give birth and be pregnant. Now, as to gender, it is anita sa una. So, gender roles are three. So, productive, reproductive, and community managing work. All of this refer to work. Okay? To be productive, we work because we want to find money. We want to have money. We work because we want to produce. Still, it refers to money. We work, okay, in the community. We work in the government because still we want to produce money. Okay, we want to have money. So God is positive bias to women because of work. Ngano man tang naatay God because this gives the positive bias for women because of these three. For them to be productive, for them to be reproductive, and for them to manage work in the community. So that is why we have this gender and development. So gender norms, gender differences, and gender stereotyping. What are these three terminologies or these three ideas? Now, when you say gender norms, this is the way by which a society expects men and women to behave. So these are norms, standards, okay? Unsa dapat ang mga babae sa una makadumdum jud ko akong lola moingon jud ang mga babae kailangan mahinhin. Kailangan mga babae dili maggatawa og kusog, no? Oo. So those are norms. These are the ways in which the society expects our women to behave. When you say lalaki sa una, may ka, ang lalaki kailangan strong, dili mo hilak. Okay? Those are gender norms. This is how we see our men also to behave. This deals with not only with differences of how men and women, girls or boys behave, but about the different values associated with being a boy or a girl, or a man, or a woman. Now, when we say gender stereotyping, this is an overgeneralized belief in the characteristics of a person based simply on their gender. Stereotype. Muto ka ganina gi-mention ni Ma'am Jazz nga moingon gani ka nga kung ang lalaki nang hugas, nang laba, tawagon na dahil nato siya bayot. Kung ang lalaki limpiado, banidoso, maarte sa katawan, tawagon na dahil natong bayot. Kung ang babae mo, kanunay magpantalon, kaitawagan na dahil natong tumboy. So those are stereotyping, no? Those are overgeneralized belief. Ngano man day og magpantalon, tumboy na? Or ngano man day og ang lalaki maarte, magbutang og sunblock, bayot na? So inana, those are gender stereotyping. Ngano man day og ang lalaki o ngano man pud ay kung bayot pud siya? O murag something like that nga nanadayon tay connotations like negative connotations. Usually man gud sa gender stereotype murag deals more on the negative side, no nga ato na siyang gi-brand as this. Okay? Now, gender differences, this is how society treats boys and girls differently and expect them to behave differently from each other. So, this is how we treat boys and girls and how we expect them to behave also differently. Now, is there a problem with gender roles? Nabay problema ana karon. Nabay problema og magkalahi-lahi ang atong gender roles or how we see gender roles in general? Is there a problem? Yes. When this become gender issues. Nanaday ni siya problema kung himuon ni mo ni siya issue. Okay? muna dayon ay makahamper sa isa ka tao nga madawat sa trabaho or maka-participate in the political aspects, or muna po dayon makahamper sa isa ka tao to participate in the productive world. Okay? Now, this becomes an issue. That is why here gender issues come in, because it blocks people's capacity to do and to be. Okay? When we when we look into gender issues, this makes people, or this blocks people from doing what they could do and from being what they could be. Na di nato na dawaton kay kuan man na siya, anak man na siya, tumboy man na siya, bayot man na siya, di nato na siya dawaton kay kining nga trabaho, kining pang IT, usually kining pang IT manggod kay trabaho ra gyud sa lalaki, dili gud maayo ang mga babae ini. Or also we block people, okay, from letting them be themselves. Dili ni pwede ang DepEd sa mga inani nga mga tao. Kailangan diri straight, kailangan diri mga tao nga mga inani mangin-ana. So we block them because we focus on these gender issues. Okay? We block them from being themselves. We block them from doing what they could do. Now, gender issues affect everybody, male or female, the rich or the poor, young or old, and etc. in all spheres of life. So that's why this is the focus of our advocacies, no? Because we want as much as possible to eradicate, okay? I mean, all this, the negative connotations, the negative effects of these gender issues. So this affects males and females in general. Now, gender roles deny males access to the nurturing, emotive, other-oriented world of domestic life. Mingon na kalalaki ka, ayaw, dili pwede ka mag-alaga og bata, dili ka pwede mo hila. Okay? Kung lalaki ka, dili ka pwede ingon nga adto ka sa balay, mabilin ka sa balay kay si misis ang magtrabaho, dili ka pwede manglaba, dili ka pwede magluto. Like that, because we are focusing on this. No, they deny these aspects of our males to be nurturing, to show their emotions, and to do domestic work. Okay? Now, gender roles also deny females access to the public world of work. Most likely yun ang mo-achieve in the corporate world are the males. Okay? This deny females from achievement, independence, and power. Now, here again is gender socialization. This is the process by which individuals were informed about norms, traditions, behaviors associated in our assigned sex, usually during childhood development. So what influences our norms, our traditions, our behaviors? You call that gender socialization. This is associated with with you, your development as a child, how you were socialized, how you were oriented, how you were informed about the norms, traditions, and behaviors. So what are these agents or institutions of socialization? Gender socialization. We have the community. We have the family. Okay? Through manipulation, canalization, verbal affiliation, and activity exposure. How did the community expose you? Sometimes may ngundahin ka nga, ngano ning bataa nga na binabayi tungod kay ang iya manggong kauban sa balay, binabayi pod. O ngano po ning bataa nga linalaki, kay ang iya pong kauban sa balay, linalaki pod. So, it could be because it is referring to socialization. Okay? It refers to socialization. Naka-socialize ka with how these people act, so sometimes this would have an effect on you. Now, another agent of socialization is the church. Okay? Religious teachings, declarations, and interpretations of faith-based doctrines, institutional structures, and symbols. And an agent of socialization is the school through formal curriculum, the hidden curriculum, and even the absent curriculum. Ang wala gi-appeal sa curriculum. Media, through their portrayals, narratives, images, actors, and decision makers. So this is the media. And the government through the laws, the policies, and the commitments and principles that are mandated. Okay. Now, however, in view of this, so when you got gender issues, gender roles, the good news is that gender roles do change. Okay, we all have those indicators. We all have those gender socialization processes that has, influenced by the way we move, the way we behave as males or females. But let us take note that gender roles do change. Mo yang giingon nga naagyoy kausaban sa tanan nag-evolve siya. Now, because gender roles have evolved, gender roles have changed, what are we going to do? Okay? As an agency, as a department, what are we here for? What are we going to do to advocate for this? So that is why we do gender mainstreaming. Okay? We include gender mainstreaming in our activities, in our practices. So when you say gender mainstreaming, we refer to gender and development. Here in GAD, we define what is GAD and we do gender mainstreaming. So GAD is defined by the Magna Carta of Women or the MCW per Chapter 2, Section 4. Okay, that gender and development refers to the development perspective and process that are participatory and empowering, equitable, sustainable, free from violence, respectful of human rights, supportive of self-determination. When you say self-determination, this is the freedom to choose, okay? And actualization of human potentials, okay? From what you choose, you actualize what you are capable of. It seeks to achieve gender equality as a fundamental value that should be reflected in the development choices. This seeks to transform societies, social, economic, and political structures and questions the validity of gender roles they ascribe to women and men, contends that women are active agents of development and not just passive recipients of development assistance, and stresses the need of women to organize themselves and participate in political processes to strengthen their legal rights. So like I've said, gone were the days where men were seen as where we stereotype men as the strong ones, as the only ones who hold position, high positions in the corporate world, in the government. Now, through the GAD, the Magna Carta of Women, women are given equal rights to organize themselves and participate in the political process and strengthen their legal rights. So, gender and development in the development perspective, this is the term development here has various meaning to different people and can be explained in different contexts. When you say this promotes a positive bias for women, okay? So this is generally these women who are generally disadvantaged, okay, in resource allocation and decision making, and this recognizes that there is an imbalance in the status of men and women. Here, our development goals should be seen as a progress towards complex goals such as the elimination of poverty, the provision of employment, the reduction of inequality, and the guarantee of human rights. Okay? God or gender and development is a process. It is a natural phenomenon marked by a gradual change that lead toward a particular result. So through the God, we aim for perspective in development and that this is a process. So this God is participatory and empowering, equitable, sustainable, free from violence, respectful of human rights, supportive of self-determination, and actualization of human potential. We say gender equality, equitable, this is refers to the policies, okay, instruments, program services, and actions that address the disadvantaged position of women in society by providing them preferential treatment in the affirmative action. Okay, so that's it. Though the God seeks to achieve gender equality as a fundamental value that should be reflected in development choices. This transforms society's social, economic, and political structures and questions the validity of the gender roles they ascribe to men and women, and contends that women are active agents of development at not just passive recipients of development assistance. So this was already mentioned in the provision of the MCW, that's in letter H. Okay, now, gender mainstreaming here refers to the strategy for making women as well as men's concern and experiences an integral dimension of the design, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies and programs in all political and economic, social, and societal spheres, so that women and men may benefit equally, and inequality is not perpetuated. So that is why we advocate for gender mainstreaming. So when you say gender mainstreaming, okay, it looks into the concerns and experiences of men and women, and this is an integral part of the design, the implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies and programs. So how do we do that? Okay, in our agency, where are our entry points? We could get into policy by making official statements in support to GAD mandates, okay, through EOs, to memoranda, to specific guidelines. So in our case, we already have the DepEd order that provides for a gender-responsive basic education. And our division makes sure that we implement, or we have policies in the implementation of GAD. Okay, we could have gender mainstreaming in people. Okay, we could sponsor, okay, with people or with power to legitimize change agent, target, and advocate. And entry points are enabling mechanisms. So these systems and mechanisms installed, including the funds allocated for GAD activities. So I'm sure our department, our division, ensures that we have these enabling mechanisms by including funds allocated for the GAD activities. And we have implemented programs and projects and activities that are referring or that are related to GAD. And one of that is this activity. Now, so gender mainstreaming is the process of assessing the implications of women, or for women and men, of any planned action, including legislation, policies, or programs in all areas and at all levels. So here, gender issues, okay, from the in gender mainstreaming, we consider the gender issues from our analysis, okay, and then we craft the GAD plan and budget that at least 5% of the GAD direct and or attribution shall be given activities and plans for GAD-related activities. Okay, now, so what is the goal of gender mainstreaming? This is to make gender equality as a fundamental value in the development choices and institutional practice. So our main goal is gender equality. Now, where do we find these mandates? From RA 9710 or the Magna Carta of Women. So we're done with all the three sections. Where do we go from here? What shall we do now? Where do we do gender mainstreaming? Like I've said, we have DepEd Order number 32, Series 2017, which is the Gender Responsive Basic Education Policy issued by the Department of Education on June 29, 2017. This guideline issues, okay, is in line with the Gender and Development Mandate, okay, as stipulated. Also, I've mentioned this in our in the statement of purpose. And through this policy, the DepEd commits to integrate the principles of gender equality, gender equity, gender sensitivity, non-discrimination, and human rights in the provision of governance in the basic education. So, the scope of this, kinsa man ang appeal initanan, this applies to all officials and employees of DepEd, including you, including all of us, officials and employees of private elementary, junior, and senior high schools, learners of all public and private elementary, junior, and senior high schools, and all learning centers for SPED, for the ALS, the lab schools, SUCs, and the local universities and colleges. So, what is this statement, or what is this policy about? The policy provides the guidelines for gender-responsive basic education that shall allow the DepEd, okay, to create or to integrate the principles of gender equality, gender equity, gender sensitivity, non-discrimination, and human rights in the provision and governance of basic education. So this already was discussed earlier. So what does this policy aim to provide? First is promote inclusive education that ensures girls and boys and women's and men's equal access to learning opportunities, fair treatment in the learning process, and equitable outcomes as well as access to opportunities in all spheres of life. Wala man katay bata diha gibalibaran because this school is only for boys. This school is only for girls. We have provided equal access to all our learners. We provide equal learning opportunities for our learners. We don't discriminate men and women. We don't discriminate boys and girls, okay? We promote the protection of children against all forms of gender-based violence, abuse, discrimination, and bullying in schools. That's why we have established the Child Protection Committee, right? In our schools, we have this. We address gender-based barriers and the different forms of discrimination as a result of being exposed to gender inequality suffered by vulnerable and marginalized groups. So who are these vulnerable and the marginalized groups? This includes our IPs. This includes our people with special needs. Okay, this includes our people with how do you call these people with learning? I mean, with disabilities. Okay, this includes taking affirmative steps where necessary to reduce gender gaps and disparities in basic education and rectifying through affirmative actions such discrimination suffered by a gender group in the workplace as a result of treatment that fails to recognize gender references or differences and thus adversely affect the gender group. Okay, so it involves all learners, teachers, and non-teaching personnel and other stakeholders in the promotion of this policy. So this strengthens the structure, system, and methodologies that promote coordination to address gender dimensions in planning, information exchange, design, and delivery of services, and ensures that the public and private partners are fully oriented to adopt gender equality standards and procedures in program implementation and management. And lastly, continuously enhance policy implementation and sustainability of results through periodic reviews. That's why we do reviews quarterly or monthly as to our implementation of our GAD plan, okay? We consult with stakeholders, document, and promote good practices. So how do we do that in our agency? So, okay, we could do this by making strategic framework that is gender responsive. And we do this by mainstreaming gender in all policies and programs, projects, and activities. So in here, by doing this strategic framework, we consider that gender dynamics impact on education. Gender is not just about girls. Gender responsive education is protective, and that disaggregated data are non-negotiable. What is this? These are sex disaggregated data. We try to disaggregate enrollment between male and female. That's why, if you could recall, there was one time we were required to submit results, okay, quarterly results, na ipalahi gyud ang results sa male, iparahi ang results sa female. We question, ngano man gyud na kailangan mani para ma-generalize na to kinsay mas bright nila. Of course, that was kidding aside. But because of this, we want to disaggregate the results. We want to disaggregate data between males and females and involve male and female learners in working together or toward gender equality. Gender is a cross-sectoral issue, and anyone can champion gender equality in education. All of us can champion gender equality in education. So, how can we do this in the curriculum instruction and assessment, in the CID? Okay, we could do this through learners' development, to advocate gender equality in all aspects of development and ensure that all our programs, projects, and activities are made congruent with the policy, okay, with the GRBE, or the Gender Responsive Basic Education Policy, by including this in our SIPs, in our DEDPs, no? I'm sure our DEDP has included GAD, Okay? Our SIPs in the school, hopefully, meron tayong provisions for God, and our AIPs have provisions for gender and development. Include in the school calendar the observation and celebrations that are related to God, just like but these are not just limited to Women's Month celebration. There is even a celebration for the lesbian, the gay, bisexual, and the transgender. This is what you call the Pride Month that is celebrated every June. So I remember last month, si Ronnie changed our icon in our office, no? Gi-change niya into because it was Pride Month last month, June. Breastfeeding Month is August. Peace Education Month is September. Children's Month in November. The 18-day campaign to end vow from November 25 to December 12. Human Rights Month in December. And we support policies on curriculum instruction and assessment that are consistent with the principles of gender-responsive education. As to curriculum standards, we ensure that we enhance and promote a K-12 curriculum that integrates gender equality, human rights, sexuality, and reproductive health education, peace education, environmental studies. So we develop a GAD or a set of GAD and human rights competencies. So this is one thing that we could do with the CID people, that we could make, okay, we could make our materials that should be GAD, okay, that should be God-related, to God-responsive, okay, develop a set of God and human rights competencies that are included in our learning materials. Pwede siya. Ensure minimum standards on gender sensitivity that will be integrated in the subject, in our learning areas, in our training. So we have gender mainstreaming in our training. So we see to it that those breastfeeding mothers, those other concerns about gender and development are given focus also. So learning delivery to ensure that all public and private schools and learning centers shall maintain gender responsive instructional delivery and services. Okay, we design gender responsive models of instruction. Okay, formulate enabling policies and guidelines for the implementation of gender responsive innovative teaching and learning approaches. So here is where we could come in as a CID. We provide technical assistance to the field in the adoption and modification of gender responsive learning models and strategies. So as to the schools, the learning environment, ensure that our schools are gender responsive, physical and social learning environment that promotes respect for all people and has zero tolerance for all forms of discrimination, violence, and abuse. Ensure that DepEd personnel are oriented, okay, on gender equality and all those about sexuality and reproductive health education, human rights, peace education, and child protection. Ensure that the development and capacity building through in-service trainings are relevant also and aligned to the GRBE. Okay, capacitate all teachers, all personnel in the agency. Promote the institutionalization of gender-responsive teaching, learning plans. So that's what I've said. We could include that in our learning materials. We could provide adequate and responsive capacity building activities to our teachers. Okay, strengthen and sustain the capacity of administrators, guidance counselors, and teachers in handling cases of violence and all those that are God related. Okay, as to learning resources, we ensure that our resources are responsive, okay, gender responsive. We ensure that the writers, evaluators, and all those involved in the development of learning materials are trained, okay, on these issues. We provide orientation. I'm sure this was discussed by Sir Jay in our LR trainings. Now, our materials should be gender responsive. No, we avoid all those are that may violate gender sensitivity. Okay. We provide God learning resources, update the guidelines in the development of the LR, and ensure that learning resources are procured from external sources that comply with God concepts and core messages. Okay, we update and align quality assurance measures with our instruments with the God concepts, gather materials for God, okay, and upload quality assured God learners materials before siya i-upload to make sure na wala tayong na violate. Ensure that field offices implement contextualized, localized, and indigenized learning resources integrating God core messages and key concepts. So, as to assessment, we also make sure, if you could recall, there were materials posted in Facebook nga that have violated or that are not gender sensitive, no? Katubang ng na ay like kita si Angel Luxin na body shaming, those are not gender sensitive materials. So we ensure that materials that we assess also nga wala tay gi violate, no? That includes all those key messages and key concepts of God. Okay, so for the planning and field operations as to learnership support, so asa ni siya is good. Okay, promote awareness of GRB issues and concerns in the governance and operations of schools, learning centers, and workplaces. So for the planning and field operations, we develop framework policies and standards for learner support programs and services that integrate God core messages and key concepts. We implement programs, projects that are aligned, okay, with the GRBE, even the sports development programs that are aligned with the GRBE. Okay, conduct capacity building on health development, on sports development, and youth formation. So, si youth formation dire is included, no? That are these activities should be aligned with the GRBE policies, and then strengthen cooperation and partnership with agencies, organizations, and individuals for purposes of education and other God support services. Of course, we have to do monitoring and evaluation of all these activities. For the school health, okay, for the H&N section, you provide policy, guidelines, or policy standards on integrating health and nutrition program, okay, capacitate the teaching and non-teaching in the implementation of nutrition program support, okay, health services delivery, and etc. It's ensure that all schools, learning centers, and workplaces promote mental health and psychosocial support services. That's why we have included also this one in our topics today. Okay, conduct regular focus discussion on youth forums and activities on health and nutrition issues. Okay, and also extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Develop information, education, and communication materials on health. Okay, for children needing special attention. For youth formation, SGO dito, okay, we formulate, recommend, and implement policies for youth development that are aligned with the GRBE and conduct capacity building on youth development aligned with the GRBE. So as you can see, everyone here has their role. So you activate and mobilize youth organization in the public and private schools, implement career guidance and counseling programs for learners on their career choices and options that are also aligned with the GRBE. For sports, we formulate, recommend, and implement policies on sports development that are aligned with the Magna Carta of Women, okay, that allows women, giving premium also to women in sports. Tanawa si Heidelin Diaz, kung wala na nato tagay siya chance to play weight, be engaged in weightlifting, then we would not have a gold medal. Diba? Tama. Okay. Conduct capacity building for sports development aligned also with the GRBE, with RA 9710. Ensure gender responsive implementation of sports programs and activities. For the planning, we gather and analyze sex disaggregated data. So, Ma'am Bugoy, Ma'am Chi, munang daan naagit tayo data for men and na-disaggregate good si male o female. So, monitor the implementation of basic education research agenda, specifically its GAD component. So, sa birth, ma'am, appeal gyud si GAD. So, sunod na tong research should be on GAD. Ensure that policies and studies being reviewed by the service are also aligned with the policies. So, public affairs, ensure that we establish a media network and mechanism for effective public relations, specifically or especially on information dissemination and advocacy campaigns on GAD. So, lead in ensuring public awareness of DepEd's gender mainstreaming initiatives, particularly in the implementation of this policy. We provide direct support to officials and spokespersons, provide guidance to regional and schools division, and manage communication of the GRBE. For the ICT, Sir Chris or Richie, Meron kayo dito, formulate computerization program, policies, and activities aligned with the GRBE. You conduct continuous capacity building activities to upgrade our personnel on ICT knowledge and skills, particularly on the development of sex disaggregated database, okay, and other GAD information. For the educational facilities, engineer, okay, mga engineer dyan, you formulate, recommend, and implement programs for development and establishment of educational facilities consistent with the principles of GRBE, capacitate our conduct capacity building to ensure that all facilities are safe, functional, adequate, sanitary, gender, and culture sensitive, and are also accessible to persons with disabilities. So muna ako gimin kaganina, PWs, no, those persons with disabilities. Okay, so GRBE compliant schools and learning centers and workplace are also included here. So our schools should see to it that they have provided our girl, child, adolescent-friendly facilities that meet the standards. They have complied to the Magna Carta of Women, the Magna Carta of Disabled Persons also. Then facilities meet the standards of persons with disabilities. That's why our schools now have these ramps, okay? Muna na atay mga rampa para sa mga bata nga na ay disabilities. Provide teen hubs for adult or adolescent-friendly child spaces for those our students that are kanang, especially katong mga tawag na to ng mga bata pa nga na mga anak, oo. Responsible parenthood and reproductive health law. So provide breastfeeding stations and childing minding stations. So ma'am, medyo wala taani karon diri sa to office, no. Wala tayong child minding station. Siguro this is something what we need to look into. We have to provide a breastfeeding station also in our schools and in our offices. Establish a VAO desk in schools and also in our offices. So the human resource development, to our HRD, formulate, recommend, and implement policies and frameworks consistent with the principle of the GRBE. Conduct capacity building to the employees on handling gender issues and concerns. Create a pool of GRBE experts and ensure that the implementation of the RPMS is also gender responsive. So that's for our HRD. For L&D, learning and development, like I've said kaganina, pareha na ni siya, ensure that we integrate gender in all learning and development programs and interventions. Trainings, methodology standards are gender sensitive, equal opportunities in scholarships and training. So dili pwede nga mga babae lang kanuna ipadala sa training. So equal opportunity. Okay? Conditions including but not limited to age, pregnancy, motherhood, disabilities, ethnicity, or lack of consent of spouse shall not be grounds for disqualification. So may ka nga, ay di lang nato na siya padala, uy kay tigulang na siya. Uy, hala, kuan na siya, no? Gender issue na siya, no? Oo. Nato na siya padala, uy, kay di man ludag siya kalakaw. I mean, maglisod man na siya og lihok, na siya disability. So these are not grounds for disqualification in the participation of trainings and scholarships opportunities. Okay. Employee welfare, ensure that programs that inculcate and sustain the department core values respond to the employees' varied needs, including the promotion of employees, no? Okay. Ensure that institutional rewards and recognitions are gender responsive. Implementation of the grant of special leaves, okay? Enforcement of public and private school implementation of this guideline, or the non-firing of employees on the account of pregnancies outside of marriage. Okay, so employees that are pregnant outside of marriage, okay, this one is for us, for you, okay. These are not, this provides for the non-firing of employees on account of pregnancies outside of marriage. So how do we do this in our division? We strengthen gender and development institutional mechanisms. So that's why in our division, we have organize our GFPS headed by our schools division superintendent being the head or chair of, or the chairperson, the technical working group head, our assistant schools division superintendent, and the members including the GAD coordinator, the chiefs of the two functional divisions, the accountant, administrative offices, planning officer, and all the other secretariat members, okay, TWG members. The secretariat head is our SEPS, EPS 2 for HRD, and monitoring and evaluation is our SEPS, SGOOD, SEPS, EPS 2 for M&E. So these are Sir Okay and Ma'am Adele. For the school also, they also will make their own GFPS, okay? So at all levels of governance shall follow the duties and functions prescribed per this DepEd Order number 27, series of 2013. So in the GAD planning and budget, it is unmandated that we include in our annual GAD plan to address issues and concerns based on our gender analysis, okay? So we have the grievance committee. This is one also that we already have created our division. We also will create a committee on decorum and investigation. So we have talked about this with our attorney, so that we shall create this in our division and also in our schools. And monitor the evaluation. So where do we go from here now? We go by starting from our own selves. Start from your own body. Understand how your own attitude and values perpetuates gender-based discrimination and stereotypes. So this is sexism and violence. Start from your own. Understand your own values and attitudes. Educate yourself about the issue. Confront and act on the issue, and be yourself a personal advocate for God. As an organization, we start by disaggregating data by sex. So ang atong mga training materials, our training design should also do this, no? So from our training designs pa lang daan, na-identify na nato pila ang males, pila ang females, dili kay mga number of participants total. Also in our attendance sheets, we also disaggregate, na siya disaggregation, sex disaggregated, like male, female. Kita manggo generic ra kayo say atong mga documents mo ng we failed on this area, disaggregating search sex data by sex. So attain balance in various positions, stop GBV, okay, gender-based violence and gender discrimination in the communities and institutional processes. Make spaces for disadvantaged women and men. Treat each one as equals, demolish hierarchical social transactions, and adopt a division and school plan of action. And we already have that. Now, where do we go from here? We go nothing else or nowhere else, but we go further to eliminate gender biases such that we achieve development, because gender biases prevent people from attaining their full potentials, and this will not enable them to become effective contributors to development. So from here, we eliminate our gender biases such that all of our men and women will attain their full potentials and be contributors to development. So that's it for everyone. Daghang salamat, amping kanunay, mga igsuon. Faith and Don.
Yes, thank you so much, Doc Lucille. So we have really learned a lot about gender-responsive basic education policy and the basic GAD concept. So let us give a warm round of applause for Doc Lucille, our Division GFPS Coordinator. So at this point, let us all welcome Attorney Christine Thelva P. Licop, our legal officer, to discuss to us about Safe Spaces Act and gender-based sexual harassment. A round of applause for her, please. Attorney team.
Hello, thank you, Miss Faith. Madungog na ba ko?
Yes, loud and clear, Attorney.
All right. Okay, thank you. Let me just share my screen, ha, kadali. Wait a minute. So good morning to everyone who is with us in the makita na ako ang presentation. Makita na ata. All right. Who is with us this morning, no? So I hope na apa ang inyong attention sa ato ang webinar today because I will be talking about something that we all should know about. So kung katong mga people who already have ideas about it, kay syempre dili man ni first time sa DepEd Bislig City Division that we talk about this certain topic, but I hope you are still gonna lend your ears and your attention sa ako ang time. So I will try to finish in an hour kay 11 a.m. naman. So I will try to wrap things up before mag 12 noon. So today I will be talking about understanding sexual harassment in the workplace. So to also get your attention, I will be na ako'y pakulo na something no later. So I partnered with Madibus. So they gave us 3 free na liempo. So later I will be asking a question and then ang una na maka-answer mao siya ang mudaog sa liempo, and then you can claim your kanang unsa tawagan ni voucher with me later, and then you can claim it sa atbang sa division, old division office nga Madibu branch after 5 p.m. today. So hopefully maengganyo mo to be interactive no and to join me while I talk para dili pod kimaw, so at least naatay interaction gamay, and I will try my best to also be updated sa mga messages like ni ana si Jessa na ay manok. Walay manok, just sorry. Liempo lang ang ato ang ano. Si Sir Okay said bring it on. So thank you so much and I hope you will listen and you will participate sa ato ang discussion karon. Wow mo teacher discussion. But anyway, before we delve into our topic, kay syempre later mag-storya man ta kabahiglos dito sa ta sa basic. Let us talk first about harassment. So, unsa man ang harassment? So, according to Cambridge Dictionary, so layman's terms ata, it is a behavior that annoys or upsets someone. So, that's simple, no? Diba? Usually, we hear this a lot. Giharas manggug ko niya. So, ingon ana. So, I think all of us have a good grasp of what harassment is. So today, we will be talking about sexual harassment. So syempre, harassment is katong behavior that annoys or upsets someone. So when we add the word sexual, the meaning harassment in a sexual way. So that's simple. And then, specific lang ta, wow, grabe na nanday answer si Sir Okay. But anyway, specific lang ta sa sexual harassment in the workplace. So why did we cater this nga topic? Because ang atong participants now is non-teaching personnel sa DepEd. So the specific situation that will apply syempre sa ato is sexual harassment in the workplace. So later on we will talk about unsa ang mga related laws and regulations when it comes to this situation. But why? Why do we have to know about this? Why do we have to talk about this? So there are two sides of it, no? First, of course, is so that we will all know what not to do. So para makabalo ta nga ay bawal day na buhaton, then dapat kabalo pud taon sa to nga mga things ang bawal buhaton, di ba? And then next is so that we ourselves, we will know what right to assert. Of course, diba, when you don't know that you have this certain right, you will not be able to assert it. You will not be able to tell someone else that, hey, this is my right, please respect it. Or please honor it, diba? So duha siya ka coin para kabaluta unsa ato ang dili dapat buhaton o para kabaluta unsa ato ang angay buhaton when it comes to a person nga nakalapas sa ato ang specific rights. Okay? So, this morning, I will be discussing 3 separate laws and regulations, no? But I will only be talking about the salient features of each law with regard to sexual harassment in the workplace. So we will be discussing about the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, the CSE resolution regarding sexual harassment in the workplace, and the Safe Spaces Act. So una ta sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. So the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act is found sa Republic Act number 7877. it was passed into law and approved by the then president during February, I think February 14 ang exact date, no? February 14, 1995. So that early, 1-year-old pa ko ani nga panahon, so naana ni siya nabalaod. So ang iyang full name is an act declaring sexual harassment unlawful in the employment, education, or training environment and for other purposes. Now you might wonder why I will not be discussing this morning about the sexual harassment that happens in the education or training environment. It is again because the participants of this webinar are non-teaching personnel, so I catered the topic to something that would apply to all of us. If ang akong audience is teachers, then I will be discussing that part also of the law. But since non-teaching man, so dito sa tamag-stick sa workplace lang. So unsa di ay ning work sexual harassment according to the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. So Section 3 provides that it is work, education, or training-related sexual harassment na committed by an employer, employee, manager, supervisor, agent of the employer, teacher, instructor, professor, coach, trainer, or any other person who having authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another in a work or training education environment demands, requests, or otherwise requires any sexual favor from the other, regardless of whether the demand, request, or requirement for submission is accepted by the object of said act. Now, basin matingala mo nga nung paspas kay ko gabasa because we're gonna himay-himay this later, no? Basin mo nga mo nga, wala mi nasabtan kay yaw ra kaayo si attorney. But, ato siyang himay-himayon. So, kinsa ang pwede makakommit sa sexual harassment na gina-refer diri? Only an employee, manager, supervisor, agent, etc., etc. But, ang ato adyong timanan or ato ang i-put into our minds, no, kung para makabulot nga this one will apply because the person has authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another. So aim ang ato ang timanan. So if the person has aim, so has authority, influence, or moral ascendancy, then pwede siya nga maging liable for sexual harassment under the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. Now, asa man siya, syempre in a work environment. So sa office nato, ingon ana. Or even not inside the office, but kanang like naate activity kunwari sa cultural center and then dito nahitabo ang sexual harassment. That still counts. And then there is a demand, a request, or kanang basta na a requirement of any sexual favor. Now, what if kanang nisugot? What if kanang ni sugot ang person nga murag o sige na lang I will give in to your request. So ma-invalidate ba na siya? Dili na ba na siya sexual harassment? Actually, the law is very clear on this. It is regardless if the demand, request, or requirement for submission is accepted. Now, what if consensual jud siya? So dili siya sexual harassment because there is consent. Naa magud tay ginatawag no nga consent nga given good free consent, freely given consent. And we also have this thing called vitiated consent. When the consent is vitiated, maski nisugot na siya, pero ang reason nga nung nisugot siya because nahadlok siya, because if dili siya musugot, dili siya ma-promote, or dili siya ma-hire, etc., then that consent is vitiated. So, dili gyud na siya ang consent nga ginapangayo sa ato ang balaod no when it comes to consensual sexual activities. So, when is sexual harassment committed in a work-related or employment environment? So, gihatag dito kung unsa to siya, di ba? Unsa ang sexual harassment. Now, if it is in the workplace, ang Anti-Sexual Harassment Act naghatag og 3 kabuok na kanang situation kung kanus ana siya pwede tawag na sexual harassment. The first one is when the sexual favor is actually made as a condition in the hiring or in the employment, re-employment, or continued employment of said individual, or in granting of said individual favorable compensation, terms of conditions, promotions, privileges, or ang refusal kung modili ang person will result to limiting, segregating, or classifying the employee, which in any way would discriminate, deprive, or diminish employment opportunities or otherwise adversely affect said employee. So for instance, imuhang boss mo ingon, o sige, i-promote ka pero you have to have sex with me. that is an example of sexual harassment. Or moingon siya nga kunwari ka ng mga wala pa na hire no, sige i-hire ta ka pero good tayo miss ako murag ana gani, so that is sexual harassment. There is a condition, it is made as a condition for specific promotion, etc. Or pwede pod na siya nga balihon nga like if dili ka mo give in sa request ni boss, then iyahang palisod-lisoron imong kinabuhi sa office. Either hatagan kag tambak-tambak na trabaho or ibutang ka og something that will discriminate or diminish your employment opportunity. Di ba, Engineer Mar? No, nakoy mga supporter, very skilled. But anyway, so the second one is the above acts, katong mga acts ng atong gihisgutan, would impair the employee's rights or privileges under existing labor laws. So in the Philippines, we have this so-called labor law, and dito ang mga minimum standard requirements for kanang environment nga maayo for work. So if kana ma-impair na siya because of the sexual fever nga ginapangaya, then that is sexual harassment. And then number 3, the above acts would result in an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment for the employee. For example, there were sexual advances made by your superior in the office, and then wala ka ni give in. Then every time mag-flag ceremony, pakaulawan ka. That is an example of that. Okay? So I hope that is clear. Now, who can be made liable? Dili pa ni mao ang kanang ato ang question sa unsay tawag na? Pa-coupon, whatever, katong sa price, no? But yes, who can be made liable? So, syempre, first, ang nagbuhat sa act, di ba? Katong nagbuhat sa sexual harassment. But actually, the law provides na naapay duha ka pwede nga makakommit. The first one is, any person who directs or induces another to commit any act of sexual harassment. So, dili siya ang nagbuhat, pero gisugo niya ang someone para mabuhat. So, liable gihapon siya under this Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. And then, another one is, the head of office, educational or training institution, mahimo siyang solidarily liable. When we say solidarily liable, liable together with the perpetrator for damages arising from the acts of sexual harassment committed in the employment education if, caveat, if ang employer or head of office kay na-inform siya about such acts by the offended party and no immediate action is taken. So, for example, sa ato ang office, si Ma'am Goya, nakabalo na siya nga there was a sexual harassment done by person X to person Y, and then wala siya nagpakandak og investigation, etc. ana-ana, then that would subject her sa kaninga liability. So, kung pila man ang damages na mapataw kay person X, then liable pod siya ana. Okay? So what are the penalties now? So if ma-violate ninimo, unsa man ang mga penalties, unsa man ang punishment kumbaga, because Anti-Sexual Harassment Act is a criminal law, no? So since criminal law siya, na siya corresponding penalty or punishment. So it is imprisonment of not less than 1 month nor more than 6 months, or pwede pod nga pabayaron ka og fine of not less than 10 months nor more than 10,000 nor more than 20,000, or pwede pod both. That is depending on the discretion of the judge sa imuhang kaso. Kay again, this is a criminal law, so criminal case ni siya. So naanata sa ato ang Q&A portion. So for one coupon from Madibu. X was a victim of sexual harassment committed by her boss in 1998. So 1998 na commit. She reported it in 2004. Pwede pa ba siya mag-file og case for violation of RA 7877? You may type in your answer sa chat, Chuchu. Ni Ana si Sir Okay, yes. Ni Ana si Chona, yes. Si Ana si Ma'am Mary Grace, yes. Ang answer sa tanan. Wala na ba'y wala na ilain? Wala na ilain. Ako na lang mo answer. Para ako ang coupon. So, wala na, Jod? Sure na mo nga, yes, ang answer. Okay, 1997 na pass ang law, right? 1998 siya gi-sexually harassed by her boss. Ni-report siya in 2004. Ni-report siya in 2004. Okay, nanatay daog. Actually, ang answer is no. So, ma'am, Noemi, congratulations. You may claim your coupon later. The answer is actually no. Why? Ngano mang dili pwede? Please look at the dates ha. 1998 siya nahitabo ang crime. 2004 lang siya ni sumbong or ni report. Ang answer is no, because the crime has already prescribed. What do we mean by this? In layman's term pa, ang prescription man the term prescribed in law term, kung ato i-convert into layman's term, it means ni-expire na. So, since it took her from 1998, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 6 years before siya nag-report, no? Before siya ni-report sa crime, then ni-prescribe na ang crime because unsa di ay ang prescriptive period for Anti-Sexual Harassment Act na for anti-sexual harassment na naadiri nakapaloob ani na act sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. It's actually just 3 years. What if strong kaayo ang evidence, dili lang ka report kay mahadlok? Yes, okay, regardless if the evidence is strong, when you talk about Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, there is a prescriptive period which is 3 years. So, had she reported it from 1998 manhitabo no, within 3 years from the commission of the crime, then musulod pa siya sa period nga pwede pa. But the thing is, wala man siya ni-report, 2004 naman siya ni-report. So, nag-prescribe na ang crime. Naaman ko specific crimes nga naara siya time limit kung kanus aka pwede mo pa saka og kaso, and this is one of this. So under the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, there you have 3 years from the commission of the crime. Okay? So next, what if dili na ang boss, dili pa ni ang next na question ha, you will know when it is a question that has kadtong price na coupon when there is a Q&A portion sa taas, sa upper right of the kanang presentation. But anyway, so what if dili imuhang boss or someone with a higher position than you? What if imuhang katrabaho, like same mo position, or what if mas baba sa imong position? Pwede ba kahana? Actually, in 1997, so 1997 siya napasa, di ba? Until 2001, if boss or person having katong authority, influence, and moral ascendancy, na pwede ka maka-file og criminal case under RA 9877 or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. But if dili nimo siya boss or dili siya someone who has authority, influence, or moral ascendancy sa imuha, then you cannot file for RA 9877. Now, what if it happens to you ato na mga time? So 2000 kibali nahitabo sa imuha and then dili nimo siya amo. You can still look for a remedy under the revised penal code. But as to the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, dili siya pwede dira. Okay? So I hope that is clear. If it is not clear, please say something in the chat box so I can explain it further. Okay? So kani Q&A portion na pod ta. So for another coupon from Madi Bono, isa ka po, X was sexually harassed in 2015 by Y, who is her colleague. She immediately reported it. So 2015, kunwari butang nato, 2015 March siya na sexually harassed. Within March pod ni report na dayon siya. Unsa na klase nga case ang ma-file ni X? Pwede ba siya mo-file o criminal case? And then please put what law specifically. Or pwede ba siya mag-file o administrative case? Then please put what specific law also that will cover it. Sige, magulat sa mga tao kung sa mga people na mo tubag, no? So, unsa man ang pwede nga makaso ni X? Criminal, vowsy ni Ana, si Sir J. Si Sir Victor Utuhan said administrative case. May I ask Sir Victor kung unsa na specific admin case, unsa man ang iyang panghugutan, unsa iyang legal basis sa administrative case?
Good morning, attorney. Ang ako lang
yes,
na
sir.
ibawan, attorney, nga when you are employed and you will be committing offense, it is an administrative case when it is in line with your duty.
Okay. Sige. Actually, iniana si Ma'am Nar, si criminal or administrative. Okay. Si Sir Jaime po na siya, admin case, grave misconduct, sexual harassment. Sir, okay, can you specify unsa na law or resolution or whatever, regulation, etc. ang mo cover ana nga ano. So timani ha, na sexually harassed siya sa 2015 by Y, pero colleague lang niya, not her boss, not her somebody who has authority, influence or moral ascendancy sa iya ha. Then immediately report niya, maka-file ba siya og kaso? Unsa nga klase nga kaso? So ang nitubag ang mga people of administrative case na what specific law will that cover, or is that covered no? So gunang in English oy. Is that covered? Unsa man siya? Unsa na law? Sige, I will give choices na lang ha. Administrative case siya under DO 49 sa DepEd kunwari, or CSC resolution regarding sexual harassment, or CSC, sige, sir, okay na lang atong malag-on. Administrative, yes. Actually, sakto to. The people who answered that it is an administrative case, sakto sila. But I wanted it to be more specific, okay? I wanted it to be more specific. So X can file for administrative case for violation of CSC resolution number 01-0940. Okay, sakto sir. Okay, congratulations. Please claim your coupon later sa ako. So pwede maka-file si X og administrative case. Now, remember ha, X is counterpart siya sa kadtong nag-abuse sa iya ha. But the remedy of X is not a criminal case because she cannot file a criminal case against that person nga unless it's under the revised penal code. No, walay specific na kanang law for it. Sa revised penal code, maybe she can file for acts of lasciviousness baron, depende on what crime, kung unsa ang grounds yun, or rape if it will constitute rape. But, sige, so naghisgot naman ta sa CSC Resolution 01-0940, unsa day na siya. It is the Administrative Disciplinary Rules on Sexual Harassment Cases. So, para kay kinsa Manil, let us please remember that administrative cases are those cases nga under sa kanang mga government employee, etc. So, kita, since naamata sa DepEd, covered ta ani na balaod, di ba? Okay, so let us proceed. So, administrative disciplinary rules on sexual harassment cases, it is found under CSC resolution number 01-0940, and it was passed into a resolution and approved on May 2001. So, did you remember the table that I showed you kanina? Please remember that we will discuss that later. So anyway, so sa kanipod na kanina resolution, 'di ba? You remember anti-sexual harassment is very specific. These are for people who commit sexual harassment basta naa sila AIM, 'di ba? So boss nimo or somebody who has authority sa imuha. But nakahuna-huna siguro ang ato ang mga akatong mga naa sa posisyon sa unang murag kulang man ni. What if di ay dili nimo boss? What if same lang nimo og level or mas baba sa imong og level, and then you are sexually harassed sa workplace? Unsa man ang remedy na pwede mapangayo sa isa ka person who is a victim of sexual harassment? So si CSC naghimo sila resolution. Okay, sige ato ang i-edit. So ni ana siya nga, for the purpose of these rules, the administrative offense of sexual harassment is unsa man siya. It is an act or a series of acts involving any unwelcome sexual advance, request, or demand for a sexual favor or other verbal or physical behavior of a sexual nature committed by a government employee or official, syempre because it's under CSC, di ba? So kita, apel gihapon ta, in a work-related, training, or education-related environment of the person complained of. Now, why do I say that it expanded actually the provisions in the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act? Because of this, committed by a government employee or official. Now, wala na, if you can compare it to the Section 3 of our Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, wala na gibutang dito no nga who is her employer, blah, 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 boss, etc., who has moral ascendancy, authority, or influence. So, para mo apply ni nga sa resolution, when is it the nga sexual harassment is committed in a work-related or employment environment? So, naay tulo ka specific na gibhatag ang resolution. So, you may read that, di na nako basahon ang 1 og 2, but I would want to direct you to number 3. So the act or series of acts might reasonably be expected to cause discrimination, insecurity, discomfort, offense, or humiliation to a complainant who may be a co-employee, applicant, customer, or word of the person complained of. So, who may be a co-employee, hindi siya nga the same position, doesn't have to be your boss or somebody na like for example imuha chief ba sa inyong functional division or imuha ba yung amo etc. Doesn't have to be that, but you must remember also that this one is also covering only administrative cases, so wala gihapon tay remedy for criminal case ani na time, no? So kani nga resolution gipass ni 2001. So what if, kanina po ta nabalik, what if it is not your boss or someone with a higher position than you? So, kadtong ato ang table ganina, ato na pagdungagan og isa. So from 1997 to 2001, if boss or person having katong AIM, authority, influence, or moral ascendancy, then criminal case under RA 9877. But if dili gay nimo boss, ato nga mga panahon, wala ka, di ka pwede makakaso sa RA 9877. What can you do then? You go to the RPC and look for a crime that suits the situation. You can file for acts of lasciviousness, rape, unsa, depende sa kung unsay nahitabo. But in 2001 to 2018, naa na siya dugang na something. So if it's your boss or person having AIM, then you may file for a criminal case under RA 9877 or an administrative case under the CSC resolution that we are discussing. So, if dili po nimo boss, ang imo rang remedy is kadtong CSC resolution, an administrative case against that person. No, kay pwede man siya nga co-employee. And then you go again to the revised penal code to look for a specific crime that suits the situation. So wala siya kanang lahi nga law for it ato pa na time. How about karon? How about today? Is it still the case? So for instance, naay isa ka babae na sexually harassed sa office og iyahang ka-counterpart. Example lang, sige, atong example, kunwari EPS. O, naay isa ka EPS na naharas og another EPS. Unsa naman iyang mabuha? Administrative case lang ba gihapon and then she goes to the RPC for a criminal case, or is there now a specific law for it? There is, thanks to the Safe Spaces Act. So the Safe Spaces Act is actually also called the Bawal Bastos Law. I will not be discussing everything about the Safe Spaces Act, but it actually talks about gender-based sexual harassment that happens online, in PUVs, in the workplace, in the classroom, etc. Daghan siya og but we will be concentrating on the katong situation nga naa sa workplace. So, it is in RA 11313, and then it was passed and made into law and approved by the President on April 2019. So, bago-bago lang, no? And ang iyang full name is an act defining gender-based sexual harassment in streets, public spaces, online, workplaces, and educational or training institutions, providing protective measures and prescribing penalties therefore. So this is another criminal nga law. So, kani criminal case, gihapon ang mga ginahisgutan ani. Now, if you can read what is on the screen now, mabantayan ninyo no nga it has a lot of kanang venue, pwede siya sa street, sa public space, sa online, pwede gani nga na. That is why it's called Safe Spaces Act because its goal is to promote safe spaces for everyone, especially those that are mostly subjected to these kinds of unlawful nga activities, like for instance ang mga friends nato sa LGBT, ang mga other people nga vulnerable also for these acts. So sa Safe Spaces Act, when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace, naara gihapoy tulo. So the first one is it's an act or series of acts involving any unwelcome sexual advances. Same lang siya actually, so I'm not gonna read it, but same ra siya og thought sa kadtong Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. But it also includes kanang through the use of technology. So for instance, dili siya verbal gihimo or walay action, sige rag message sa imuha og mga mga sexual advances niya iyang gina-PM sa imo kunwari. So that is still covered, no? And then we have this one, same ra gihapon, whether done verbally, physically, or through the use of technology. Ilaha lang jud gina-emphasize na pwede siya online. And then provided, this one I would like to emphasize sa number 3, no, provided that the crime of gender-based sexual harassment may also be committed between peers and those committed to a superior officer by a subordinate, or to a teacher by a student, or a trainer by a trainee. Now, so gi-supersede na ba ni ang Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, gi-supersede na ba sa Safe Spaces Act? The answer is actually no. Ang gibuhat sa Safe Spaces Act is iya lang mas gipalawak ang coverage sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, because before Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, it delved on more on kanang boss subordinate nga relationship. So ang victim si subordinate, si boss ang perpetrator. Now, because of the Safe Spaces Act, gi-clear na gyud nga pwede between peers or even those committed by a subordinate to the superior officer. So baliktad. So si subordinate ang ni sexually harass kay boss. So pwede na siya karon thanks to the Safe Spaces Act. I think the wisdom of this provision, no, in the law is pwede man gud siya mahitabo, dili man necessary nga ang boss lang ang pwede mo sexually harass to a subordinate. It can happen pabaliktad, or it can happen to someone nga same lang nimo og level. So between peers. So what if walay ginatake action si boss on a reported act in the workplace? Do you remember what I discussed in the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act? No, solidarily liable si boss kung wala siya himuon. Nakabalo siya nga there is a sexual harassment act done to one of his or her personnel and no action, immediate action was made, then mas solidarily liable si boss. Sa Safe Spaces Act, gihimo siya og criminal act mismo. So kadto, solidarily liable lang si boss. So jointly liable lang siya. So whatever damages nga kailangan bayaran ni perpetrator. But here, si boss makasala na jud siya nga like criminal in nature na jud ni nga act. If wala siya buhaton in a reported act in the workplace, then makabayad si boss og penalty of a fine not less than 10,000 pesos nor more than 15,000 pesos. Okay? So criminal act na siya. Aside from the penalty, of course, the boss will have a criminal record because it is already a criminal act. Now, Can a victim file a criminal case and administrative case simultaneously? Or exclusive ba ni siya? If mo file ka og criminal case, dili nakaka-file og admin case, or if mo file ka og admin case, dili nakaka-file og criminal case. The answer is yes, very much so. You can file for criminal case and an administrative case simultaneously. Wala, dili na siya pwedeng murag either or ra siya. Because the provisions actually of the Safe Spaces Act, super specific pag yun. There is section there, section 29 nga na siya nga, it is without prejudice to any administrative sanctions that may be imposed if the perpetrator is a government employee. So if kita sa gobyerno man ta nagtrabaho, pwede ta ma-subject to a criminal case and an administrative case. Should this happen, no, nga natay is sexually harassed. So, we talked about the prescriptive period sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. If anyone can remember, it's 3 years, diba? How about sa Safe Spaces Act? Sa Safe Spaces Act, mas taas-taas na, 5 years. So, siguro ilang i-consider na there are victims who take more time into coming out, and di ba kay daghan mag yung repercussions pod most of the time when this happens. So gitaas-taas nila ang prescriptive period, but then again, there is still a prescriptive period. So if mulabaw na siya sa 5 years, so kung butang na to nahitabo siya in 2020, you have until 2025 to report it and to file a case. Otherwise, it has the crime has already prescribed and you can no longer use the criminal case as a remedy. Okay? So, balik ta sa atong table. From 1997 to 2001, there is a question. Okay, thank you, Doc Sil, for the question. Is it retroactive ba daw ning 5 years, like before 2019? I do not think so because generally, as a general rule, no, our penal laws are cannot be retroactive unless it gives an advantage to the accused. So since it will not give an advantage to the accused and it is not specifically provided for in the law, then it is not retroactive. So katong mga before, dili pwede 3 years lang gihapon ta, and ang ilahang makover is si RA 9877 pa. But 2019 onwards, or kung kanusaan ni took effect ang Safe Spaces Act, then dito na siya mo run to si 5 years. So again, it is because generally speaking, our penal laws cannot be retroactive unless it is for the benefit of the accused. That is a principle in criminal law nga ginasunod nato sa Philippines. So let's go back to the table. So in 1997 to 2001, si boss or person having authority, influence, and moral ascendancy, siya ang perpetrator. Then, si victim pwede gamiton si RA 9877 to file a criminal case within 3 years. If dili boss, ato nga mga panahon, ang iyahang maadtuan nga balaod is ang revised penal code. Si 2001 to 2019, niabot na si CSC Resolution 01- I'm so sorry, this is 0940. Sorry for the typo, that's 0940. But anyway, that CSC resolution has already been made into something that will apply to everyone in the government. So from 2001 onwards, pwede na si administrative case sa kadtong kung ang perpetrator is dili nato boss or person having AIM towards us. Pero si boss, pwede gihapon siya makasuhan og criminal and another administrative case. And then 2019 onwards, if you can see, there is a progression, no? So our laws really try to adapt to what is happening also. So naatay mga laws nga kailangan ma-amend because it does not already resonate to what is the situation. It is not effective already. So sa atoang, let's thank our people in the Congress, both the senators and the representatives, na ilahaning nahuna-hunaan nga ay possible di ay nga dili lang si boss ang mag-sexually harass sa isa ka subordinate, pwede siya baliktad or pwede siya from one peer to another. So because of the Safe Spaces Act, pwede na karon makasuhan either si boss or si not boss kung sila man ang naghimo sa sexual harassment. And of course, stay ra gihapon si CSC resolution under sa ato ang administrative case. So now, for example, sa ato as a DepEd, unsa may mahitabuan na bukaso bata sa CSC diretso didto bata mo adto if in case simba ko mahitabo na sa ato actually ang naajoy although ang ilahang jurisdiction no sa DepEd sa CSC dili man siya ingon nga murag kung asa ka una mo file mao ang mo take into kanang account sa ato ang case, but ang most ginabuhat gid ana sa CSC is ila ginabalik sa DepEd because we have our own administrative case procedure. So as of today, it's still DO 49 series of 2006. We are still following that. However, there is a communication from the CO pero last year pa to nga nagabuhat na sila og bag-o kay dili na kaayo pod reflective sa times and kanang effective ang DO 49 no pero hangtod karon wala pa man nag-release so si DO 49 paghihapon. And in DO 49 specific pod si sexual harassment no na pwede ka magpaso. So simba ko na mahitabo ang sexual harassment sa any one of us, then you can file for an administrative case with the Department of Education itself. Now, Q&A portion for the last coupon from Madibu, no? Na isa kaya po, can a male be a victim of sexual harassment in the workplace? Yes or no lang ang tubag. Pwede ba nga lalaki ang mabiktim? Hala, uy, si Sir Okay, give chance. Okay, since nakadaog naman si Sir Okay ganina, disqualified na si Sir Okay. So congratulations to Ma'am Glory May and Dipa for winning the last coupon from Madibu for 1 yempo. So yes, a male can be a victim of sexual harassment in the workplace. If you noticed, the law never mentioned of a specific sex. Diba? Wala man ingon nga a victim who is female unlike other laws. For instance, unsa man ang law nga pwede ana. Nga kanang specific lang yun. Ang ato ang anti-vowsy nga law. So, RA 9262, it's very clear. The victims and the people who can file a case for RA 9262 is female si victim or anak sa female. So, sa anak, pwede lalaki, pwede babae. Pero, ang gihatagan dyan ato kibaring murag og power is ang females. But, for sexual harassment in the workplace, a male can be a victim. So, pwede ang male ang mukaso. Dili siya specific to female because may possible man mahitabo no nga ang female ang mag-sexually harass or another male will sexually harass another male. Diba? So actually, human ako, pero before that, I would like to leave you with some points to ponder, but naasa ako ipakita na rin.
Isigaw ka yung gusto mo, ha? Bastos ka, hindi ka marunong gumalang sa matanda. Ikaw walang galang sa mga tao dito. Bigets. Respect, yes, bigets. English pa ka. English. Pakaubin kita dyan eh.
Okay. Okay, wala nag-echo. Now, why did I show you that? I'm not sure if you are updated with what is happening around. This came out, I think, a week ago. Pero ako ra siyang gitake into part of my report because niya na siya unsa to ihang last gingon, respect gets begets. So if you know the right maxim, 'di ba maxim na? It's not really respect gets begets no, but it's respect begets respect. What do we mean by that? If you want to be respected, you also respect others. Ana ra siya ka simple. If you want others to respect you, then you respect others also. You respect their boundaries, you respect their personal spaces. So what do we mean by this? So for instance, sige kag joke-joke, sige kag do whatever. Naaba ko'y audio, anak ko'y audio. Sige kag joke-joke to someone and then dili na di ay siya funny or wala na siya gitake into, gitake sa person as a joke. So you have to be sensitive about it. You have to respect the boundaries that people have. So dili tanan person okay with being hugged or being touched or being kanang kung duol gay kay mo, depende lahi-lahi magutag boundaries. So you have to know the boundaries of the person and you have to respect their boundaries because personal man na siya na thing. So kung ako for instance mo ako dili ko ganahan nga ma-touch ko og person, then do not, ayaw pod mo ka-insulto if dili ko magpahag, for instance. Napoy uban nga ganahan magpahag, etc. or ganahan okay lang sa ilaha nga kanang duol mo physically, then that's okay because we have personal spaces. But the point is, para dili ta maka sexually harassed without us even knowing. Sometimes no, we are very kanang murag wala lang na sa ato ang buot, but para sa isa ka person na-harass na day siya ato na act, then you have to know the boundaries and personal spaces of others and you have to honor them. Ilaha man ang lawas, ilaha man ang ila man as a person. So you have to honor that and respect that. And then the last one is consent is key. If there is consent, if the person says it's okay, we can hug, then it's fine. But karon since na ba may pandemic, ayaw lang sa mo pag-hug. But mao na siya ang point. There should always be consent. But a consent that is full and informed consent hadili kay katong atong discuss ganina na vitiated consent, because vitiated consent is actually not consent at all. So that is my naapa ko 14 minutes actually, but that is already the end of my presentation. So if you have questions regarding the talk that I just gave earlier, then you may ask them either through the chat box or kung gusto mo, you can use your mic also. But I will already stop my presentation. But if the body will allow me to answer questions, then I would also be very happy to answer questions kung naamoy gikalibugan or anything. Okay ra ba na, Doxil? Basin na ay question.
Okay ra kay attorney.
Okay. So base na ay question ang yes, Ate Faith.
It's okay. Everyone, thank you so much for Attorney Payne for facilitating the first discussion. So it's now time for the open forum. For the since naman tay time kay natay time from Attorney Tin, this is also the opportunity to ask questions aside from the recent topic on Safe Spaces Act and gender-based sexual harassment. We can also ask questions to Doc Lucille about gender-responsive basic education policy and basic GAD concepts. So katong this will be at the open forum for all the morning sessions na mga topics. Si Sir Okay, nag-ingon siya nga naa daw siya i-PM na question sa imo, attorney. Okay. Yes, anything more? But I guess our speakers are also open to having your questions personally addressed to them pag dili comfortable during open forum ninyo i-open.
Ate Faith, pwede ko mastorya ka dali?
Yeah, sure, attorney.
Okay, thank you. To katong mga nidaog sa coupon, you can just claim it to me anytime today until 5, and then you can claim the you can give the coupon to the branch sa Madibu nga atbang sa old division sa Mangagoy later pagkahuman sa ato sa 5 p.m. sa ato ang office, no. And then also if there is anybody who is kanang siguro dili mo comfortable, no, nga kanang in public ninyo i-ask inyong questions, just like what Ate Faith said, you can always just send me a message, and you can also just email the legal section. It's legal.bislig@deped.gov.ph, and ang among number kay kabalo naman siguro tanan sa among number, no, so you can just call also, or you can also just visit us and we can set a time para mastoryaan nato kung naaman mo yung mga concern regarding our topic or even other topic. So kana lang. Thank you Ate Faith.
Yes, thank you, Attorney Tin. And congratulations to all the winners of Madibus Liempo coupons. Kay Ma'am Noemi, kay Sir Okay, and kay Ma'am Glory May. O, diba? Naminaw pa, nakadaog pa. Okay, so I guess it's 10 minutes to 12 since wala may mga forthcoming questions from the body. Just a few reminders, we will be continuing our GAD training until this afternoon. Afternoon topics are on SOGIE SE, or sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics. And by 3 p.m., there will be a discussion on mental health and psychosocial support. So I hope that you will still be with us. Please, after your lunch break, tune in na kaagad by 1 p.m. Okay, Doc Sil, any more reminders for our participants?
No more, just let them be in before 1 p.m. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. Have an enjoyable lunch, everyone, and see you all later. God bless.
Switch off.
Ron, pwede na ta mag-play og mga music or what?
Nasistress ka na ba? Nagpapanik o natatakot dahil sa
Okay na,
COVID-19?
pwede na.
Normal lang ang ganitong mga reaksyon sa ngayon. Pero may magagawa ka para mapagtagumpayan ang sitwasyon na ito. Ituloy lang ang pangangamusta sa mga kamag-anak at kaibigan gamit ang text, tawag, o video. Tiyakin na ang mga bata ay ligtas at nasa maayos na kalagayan. Kung ikaw ay nasistress na, huwag itong ibaling sa kanila. Tandaan, anuman ang iyong reaksyon ay maaaring makaapekto sa kanilang emosyon. Gawin sa bahay ang mga nakasanayan upang hindi mabagot o mabalisa sa panahong ito. Basta siguruhing protektado ka laban sa COVID-19. Magdala ng good vibes sa bahay. Sa wastong pag-iingat, ang virus hindi kakalat. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin. Nasistress ka na ba? Nagpapanik o natatakot dahil sa COVID-19? Normal lang ang ganitong mga reaksyon sa ngayon. Pero may magagawa ka para mapagtagumpayan ang sitwasyon na ito. Ituloy lang ang pangangamusta sa mga kamag-anak at kaibigan gamit ang text, tawag o video. Tiyakin na ang mga bata ay ligtas at nasa maayos na kalagayan. Kung ikaw ay nasa stress na, huwag itong ibaling sa kanila. Tandaan, anuman ang iyong reaksyon ay maaaring makaapekto sa kanilang emosyon. Gawin sa bahay ang mga nakasanayan upang hindi mabagot o mabalisa sa panahong ito. Basta siguruhing protektado ka laban sa COVID-19. Magdala ng good vibes sa bahay. Sa wastong pag-iingat, ang virus hindi kakalat. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin.